We don't have to read a buffer. Yeah. So, okay, well, we're gonna get started, everybody. Thanks for being here for the December Land Use and Full Board meeting. We are going to start with the first item on the agenda, which is public session. So I will probably start with somebody on Zoom, but then also ask some folks who are here. Folks who are here in person to start lining up. And so just
are you going to use the live?
I haven't really planned on it. I don't think we have a mic for me, so if you can't hear me, let me know and I'll try to speak up. Hayden Keegan, you're coming up soon, so if you could just go to the mic or start making your way towards the mic. And the first person we will hear from is Evelyn David on Zoom. And just as a reminder, if you want to speak in the public session, you have to sign up online. You can sign up until 6:45. You will only have 2 minutes. We're very strict about the timing, and
I do have Liz Kruger.
State Senator Liz Kruger is here, so we will actually turn it over to her first to give her a report.
Sorry, Senator Kruger.
Let me do.
There you are.
There we go. Hi, everyone. Happy holidays. It's a crazy time in the world. I'm sorry I can't be with you in person. I'm actually double Zooming on 2 different issues tonight. And Audrey is also at 2 different places tonight. But I wanted to say hi to everyone, tell you that there's a lot of action happening throughout the country, the world, and our own district. I think you all know that congestion pricing is a very hot topic, and that there will be hearings there will be public comment on the proposal that has now been approved by the board of the MTA. And I encourage people to get their comments in. I don't think there'll be any giant changes, but there are any number of issues that I think we still can impact and try to address. I also want to let you know that, particularly for people interested in public education, mayoral control is up for either approval or change or ending at the state legislative level before the end of June. The Department of Education at the state level has been doing an intensive study of alternatives to government control of public education. And there will be a January 18th hearing here in Manhattan. We'll let you know the location as soon as we find out and how you can sign up if you'd like to testify on the questions of mayoral control of the New York City public school system. I hear that there will be an opening of the East Midtown Greenway that some of us in CB8 and 6 and worked on very hard for many years. And then many things got delayed, but now they're moving forward again. And so I'm very excited. I think next week there'll be an opening of that. I'm planning on going to it as soon as I find out the time. I think it's December 19th, but there was a lot of work done by Community 8 as well as Community Board 6. This section is primarily in CB6, but it's a continuation of something we've all been fighting for so long. I want to welcome Valerie Mason as the brand new chair of Community Board 8. I think she will do an extraordinary job, and I want to give a shout out to Russell Squire, who did a tremendous job for 2 terms as the chair of Community Board 8. And you all know these are not always the easiest jobs So I want to thank the outgoing chair, chair and the incoming chair. I know I'm not supposed to take a lot of time, so I'm actually just going to shut up. I'll let you know that, of course, you all get my community updates, and if you don't, please talk to us about that. And I'm happy to take questions if you allow them, and not if you don't.
We unfortunately have a full agenda, but thank you very, very much for the report, and thank you very much for the congratulations. We go next to Councilmember Keith Powers, who has joined us. You guys see that?
Oh, there you go. Thank you.
Hi there. Hi, everyone. I'm sorry I'm doing this from a cab because I am on event 3 of 7 tonight. So I'm running around all over the district, but I wanted to just do 2 things. One is I wanted to wish everyone a very happy holidays and thank you always for everything you guys do for the Upper East Side and my district and District 4. But also wanted to come and express my deepest gratitude for the service of our outgoing chair, Russell Squire, who has been outstanding and doing such a great job and has been a great friend to my district office. I know Councilmember Menon and the other electeds as well, and just say thank you. You're off the hook, Russell. You get to relax a little bit now. Congratulations. But also wanted to, of course, welcome and congratulate my friend Valerie Mason, who I echo what State Senator Kruger said is going to do a great job and will be a great voice for the Upper East Side. And we know her, of course, from her service to this area as well. So with that, I know I shouldn't take up too much time, but just a big thanks, a big congratulations, and a very warm, happy holidays to everyone. And I'm sorry I can't be with you guys tonight, but hope to see you before the new year.
Thank you very much. That's very good. So we will return now to the public session, and Will, if you if you just give whatever instructions you need to give for the folks on.
All right, if you are participating on Zoom and you've signed up for the public session, we just ask that as your name is called, you go to the reactions icon on your screen and press the raise hand button so you appear at the top of our list. Additionally, once we have called on you, look for a prompt on your screen to confirm unmuting. If you are here and you hear your name called and we aren't able to find you, chat me. The chat is available for technical support only, and it is not to make comments to anybody on the board or yeah, that's it. You'll have 2 minutes. You'll see the timer on your screen. It'll beep at you whenever your 2 minutes are up. And who is the person?
So yeah, and Hayden Keegan, if you're here in person, you're next. So just start making your way to the microphone. Yeah, Stephen Lang on Zoom is the first person.
All right, Stephen, you can unmute. Stephen Lang, you can unmute.
There you go. I've unmuted. Okay.
Go ahead.
Yes, I'm actually the applicant and architect for the DOT, and I have an echo here, I apologize, but for the DOT application for the irrevocable consent to add fencing in front of my project on 9 East 75th Street, which is coming up later. And I just wanted to point out that this has been before this community board before. I presented all the facts to the subcommittee, and I'm sure they will present to you what was discussed. And this is we have DOB approval, LPC approval, we're well advanced, and we had to go to DOT. We've been with DOT for nearly 3 years to finally get their support for this area way. And we had approval at the community board level with an 8-foot fence that aligns with the other 8-foot fences along 75th Street down to 5th Avenue. DOT has requested we lower it to 3-foot, which we have in this proposal that matches the fences going towards Madison Avenue. And it's the only 2 houses without a fence. Originally, when these were Queen Anne buildings, houses, they did have the fence there at some point in history. They were taken away and infilled. and it doesn't encroach any further onto a sidewalk than the existing fencing. Meets all the requirements. It's been quite an arduous trip, and I'm just looking for a favorable and continued support by the community. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is Shakima Grant.
Shakima, if you will raise your hand. And look for a prompt to unmute.
Oh, perfect. Good evening, everyone. My name is Shakima Grant. I'm the Community Programs Manager here at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. As I have joined prior months to just share information about any community resources that we have. All MSK sites are now taking community appointments for HPV vaccinations. So that means you do not have to be an MSK patient to get an HPV vaccination. I can provide the number if needed, if anyone is interested in the number and any information about the new program that we have at all of our sites. You just feel free to reach out to me. And happy holidays to everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Two quick things before we continue here. The first is just a reminder for everybody that ordinarily we don't have members of the board speak during a public session. There are very rare exceptions where folks ask me ahead of time because there's an event that they want to talk about. But other than that, it's not something that we do. In addition, I would just ask everybody speaking in the public session, please, to just identify where you live in addition to telling us who you are, because we like to know whether folks are from the district or not. So with that, I'm sorry I mentioned that earlier, but with that, let's go to Jenny Feldman, please.
Jenny, you can unmute.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Jenny Feldman. I'm just going to keep to a script so I keep to my time. I'm a resident of Yorkville, and I come to you today as a concerned daughter and an advocate for our community's well-being. My plea is pretty simple. It's important. I'm urging support for New York State Bill A07244. I have two aging parents who are grappling with chronic illnesses, and this is a challenge familiar to a lot of families in the area. This bill is crucial for the community's health because it provides medical assistance for medically tailored meals. These meals are a lifeline for people with chronic health conditions, especially when their daily activities are limited, especially during the tension going on in the community where it's difficult to get out with protests amid the crisis in Gaza. Our seniors are facing a lot of challenges, and the bustling streets and tension make it difficult to shop for healthy groceries. An increase in hospital costs are evident when they're not getting nutritious meals. They're getting a lot of readmissions to hospitals, and we're seeing rising numbers of seniors in Manhattan. By 2040, it's going to be up to like 1.4 million. So I would just ask that, this is a game changer. And if we could help keep our seniors safe by, coming together to advocate for Bill A07244 to help for our seniors, I would appreciate it. It's registered dietitians putting together meals specified for people with diabetes, high blood pressure, to prevent them from ending up back in the hospital, reducing costs and helping positive outcomes for the senior citizens in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Vivian Trin.
Vivian, you can unmute.
Hello, my name is Vivian Trin. I'm a student from the CUNY, also bringing up a bill. This bill is A00685. I see that we have Senator Liz Krueger here as well, and some other people that might be able to support on sugar sweetened beveraging safety labeling. As you know, right now there's as we reach the end of the year, there's an excessive consumption of sugar sweetened beverages. It's causing a lot of rise in diabetes, obesity. I myself in the dental field, we're seeing a huge increase in dental decay, and it's becoming a huge healthcare expenditure within our community. It's contributing to about 62% of adolescents in the United States and in our area. So it would be amazing if we can get more support for bill number A000685A. It's going to help people to have informed consumer choices, improve public health, reduce on healthcare cost expenditures, and promote healthier options. Again, it is bill A00685. It was brought up by Inuits, and I hope that we can get some community support for the healthcare of our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a reminder again, folks, please let us know where you're from before you start your remarks. Next is Judy Bird.
I don't see her in the meeting anymore.
Okay, let's go next to Andrew Fine.
Andrew, you can unmute.
Thank you so much. First, I'd like to thank Russell for his kick-ass job as community board chair. Thank you so much for all that you're doing and have done. And we really also look forward to Valerie Mason coming on and doing a similarly kick-ass job. I'm representing the E-Vehicle Safety Alliance, which is EVSA, NYC-EVSA@outlook.com. We are fighting for reasonable registration and legislation that pertains to e-bikes. I assume that most people here are completely fed up with e-bikes and mopeds riding on the sidewalks, riding against lights, riding against traffic. Just today, I heard from a neighbor in my building that was hit by an e-bike on 85th Street and 3rd Avenue in the new expressway, bike lane. She suffered a fractured skull and a brain bleed. If you're done with e-bikes and mopeds just running willy-nilly, you should definitely reach out to the E-Vehicle Safety Alliance. We're working very hard at legislating. We're fighting for Bill 0758 in the City Council to register all e-bikes. I want to thank Liz Kruger, Alex Boris, Rebecca Seawright, Brad Hoylman-Siegel. They are all working to help us rein in the insanity on the streets. And that would include registering all mopeds before they leave the shop, getting legislation that will register, insure, inspect all e-bikes. Again, it is NYC-EVSA@outlook.com. If you're sick of e-bikes and the insanity, please reach out. And thank you again, Russell, for your service.
Thank you very much. Next, we are going to go to Leslie Samuels, and then after that, in person, we'll have Liz Daly and James Malio. So if you want to start making your way to the
Leslie, if you're here in the meeting, I need you to raise your hand because I do not see you. Nope. Not here. Who's next?
Liz Daly in person. Go ahead. And there's a mic.
Good evening. Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm Elizabeth Rose Daly, Manager of Community and Government Affairs at the Frick Collection. Recently, the Streetlight Committee of Community Board 8 discussed our license application, and we wanted to speak briefly with the full board, as there has been misunderstanding in the media about our intentions. First and foremost, I want to assure you that the Frick will be programming its spaces as it did previously, with our priority being creating intimate experiences with incredible art. The reason we applied for a liquor license is that we will now, for the first time, have a small restaurant on the second floor of our reception hall, which will be open to the public during visiting hours. We will also have service locations for alcohol in the new restaurant, as well as sites throughout the building, similar to where beverages were served in the past during events. This application is therefore consistent with our past operations and does not in any way reflect a departure from our mission. And lastly, on behalf of both the Frick Collection and our neighbors, since our appearance before the Streetlight Committee on December 5th, we have held productive meetings and are working well together. While we were unable to reach a final agreement in time for this full board meeting, we are aiming to do so by the time of the next CB8 Streetlight Committee on January 9th, 2024. And we thank the committee for their work and wish everyone happy holidays.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for engaging them. All right, next is James Emilius.
Thank you. Some of you may know me as a board member of the East Midtown Partnership or school boards in the district or from the NYC Hospitality Council. I'm appearing today as the attorney and trustee for the landlord of 115 and 117 and 119 East 60th Street. She has a keen interest in the safety, quality, and success of retail on that street. You are concerned about illegal stores. You're concerned about selling to children. You're concerned about fentanyl-laced products. You're concerned about stores not collecting the 14% tax. Should go to the state in time of a budget shortfall. The landlord agrees. In the last meeting, members asked, where were these applicants when illegal stores were popping up all over the city? I'll tell you what I was doing. I was actually working on the lawsuit brought by disabled veterans who sued the state to open up the licensing process to women and to veterans and people of color. And then also, when people forget, ask the state to enforce the law and shut down illegal stores. I don't recognize the city some days, but what I do know is that legal stores have strict advertising that don't allow you to look into the store and see products. I know that the stores that are legal, the 19 that are legal in this city, don't have an illegal store within 1,000 or 2,000 feet of them in some cases, because they have standing to go after those stores and try to close them. Earlier this year, the tenant at 119 stopped paying rent. It was a deli that basically, they're just not making it because there's no office people as there used to be. The landlord knew that 119 was a viable cannabis retail location. Why? There's 5 liquor licenses on the street of 60th Street Park in Lexington. There are no barriers to a cannabis license there because of the same requirements as a liquor license. She saw an upscale like a store in Beverly Hills, and she thought, wow, it would be really cool. She knew someone, a designer from Peter Marino, who just did almost all of Fifth Avenue. What if we did a store that was inspired by tweed patterns, and there's a tailor upstairs, and make it a really elegant, beautiful retail store? But she didn't have a tenant she trusted. She came to me and I suggested 2. Kylie Monaghan, who I had the pleasure to work with for 2 years at many years at Molly Restaurant, and Sarah Lulo, a former.
Sorry, you're 2 minutes.
I'm just gonna say, can I say one more thing? 30
5
seconds.
seconds. No, no.
Athena, you lost me.
I'll give you 30
Okay.
seconds. Just,
When the rehab facility opened, we talked about their concerns. We didn't object, even though I run a restaurant next to a methadone clinic and knew about those issues. We asked the same courtesy in return. We asked you to follow the law and allow the license to proceed.
thank you. Next is
What's up? Yeah, I have it right here.
Let's go next to Christopher McLaughlin.
All right, Christopher, if you were here, there you go, you can unmute.
Hello, thank you for having me. My name is Chris McLaughlin. I'm here to speak about the legal entity at 119 East 60th Street. I am a teacher at PS 59 at 233 East 56th Street between 2nd and 3rd Avenue. And while my school falls just outside of the Community Board 8's jurisdiction, many of my students live in and or spend time in the area both before and after school. I've been hearing a significant amount of chatter around the school community from parents and other members of our school village about the illegal stores that have opened and the accessibility that they offer young children. It's my understanding that when illegal cannabis stores open, the authorities have an increased responsibility to protect the neighborhood from illegal flyby stores. I hope that by supporting a legal entity at 119 East 60th Street, the pressure will compound and the illegal locations will be forced to close. I believe the board should envision the long-term advantages of a legal, well-run cannabis shop over what is currently open and illegal in the surrounding community. Thank you.
Next, let's go to Luke McNamara.
Luke, if you're here in the Zoom room, please use your raise hand feature because I do not see you.
Adam Gross.
Adam Gross, Luke Mack.
Is Adam Gross there?
Called into.
Adam Gross, if you are here. Adam Gross for Luke, I see, okay. Hold please. Go ahead.
Okay, good evening. You guys can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. Happy holidays to everybody. My name's Adam Gross. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Roman Sanford Security, and I am speaking for Luke today. He's an active detective in East Hampton Town. Got called in to oversee a case, but for me to quickly get into it, I've worked with Kylie for over 5 years at one of their restaurants in Watermill, and also at providing security at Amali on 60th Street. I know that they take the safety of their patrons very seriously, and have even gone as far as purchasing a state-of-the-art ID detection machine, which costs thousands of dollars. My company or our company would be providing security at the new locations should they be granted the licensing for it, and know that they plan on using a very similar caliber machine to the one that they have out in Watermill, which has been very successful. We would be there on site to provide the security and to ensure that there's no underage entry into the location. And it's our hope to provide both Kylie and Miss Lulo the support that they need and the community deserves and needs at that location. That's it. Thank you.
Next is Richard Washington.
All right, Richard.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, you're here.
Yes. I apologize if using the mic is too loud, but I'm here to speak on both behalf of Showman 17 as well as Hay Brown and Rose. And the reality of it is, ladies and gentlemen, members of the board, cannabis is here. It's not going anywhere. It's legal medically in 38 states, and it's legal recreationally in 24 states. I work with Ryan Sackis, who's also seated in the audience, and we are NYDC LLC. Both Ryan and myself are attorneys. We both started our careers at the Manhattan District Attorney's Office in the Office of Special Narcotics. My partner Ryan ran the prescription drug unit, and both of us worked in special investigations. We've been in lawful cannabis for about roughly 2 years since the passage of the recreational legislation. And I understand some of the concerns that the members of this community have based upon what you see every day as a reflection of what is lawful cannabis in New York. But what you're seeing every day at these smoke shops and these various venues is not legal cannabis. As of right now, there are only 26 licensed dispensaries in the state of New York, and there are only 11 in New York City. So everything that you see on the corner is not representative of what it is that Ms. Monaghan and Ms. Lulo are expected to do. What they're going to do is offer a safe, lawful, New York-based adult use retail dispensary where adults who wish to consume cannabis lawfully are able to do so in a sophisticated and a safe environment, and they don't have to be concerned about, inhaling, ingesting fentanyl or anything else that is unlawful. This is a legal venture. This is an option and an opportunity for this community to have at least one of the most sophisticated adult use retail dispensaries in the city of New York. This is not an either or, this is a both and. Both of these women are looking to move forward in the process.
Thank you. Next is to Julia Lee.
Julia, you can unmute.
Hi, everyone can hear me? Oh, okay, great. Hi, my name is Julia Levi. I also am speaking on the cannabis space. I work with Kylie Monaghan and Ms. Lulo, who have been referenced prior. And I wanted to speak in regards to the brand and the storefront, and as the brand director of this particular space. I wanted to kind of provide some assurance in terms of the sophistication and elegance and my personal background in this space, not the space, but the luxury sector. So I worked in branding and luxury marketing for 17 years. You might know some of the companies, Dr. Barbara Sturm Skincare, which is on the Upper East Side. I've done the branding and marketing for her, which is a global brand that has done super well. I've worked with luxury heritage leather good brands called Tanner Kroll, that Princess Diana and the royal family wear. So I have a long history and career in this space. And so this opportunity to materialize and see the vision of what we have for this particular cannabis brand is not dissimilar and quite similar to what I've worked on in the past. So, the vision represented in the materials that obviously have been provided to you appeals to a super high-end client where discretion and excellence are a top priority. This has been a super collaborative venture with Ms. Monaghan and Ms. Lulo, and it's obviously in a neighborhood that we hold very dear and near to us. And I'm just asking, and I hope that the board sees the potential in this new entity, and that we're not sort of being grouped into the storefront set of pop-ups.
Thank you. Next, let's go to
Sarah, if you're all right, Sarah, please unmute. Yeah, I see a Sarah.
Yeah, she done that.
Yep, go ahead.
Terrific. Well, good evening, members of the community board. My name is Sarah Lulo, and I'm here representing Hayground and Rose and asking for the community board's support in our application for a dispensary license for the property at 119 East 60th Street. You've heard from a few community members now about some of the attributes and some of the experience and the inclination that we will bring to the space, a high-end luxury, responsible, safe space compliant with all regulations. I want to let you know a little bit about myself. I did not come to this venture lightly or without due diligence and consideration. I'm a lawyer with over 20 years of experience, and I've dedicated my career to promoting the rule of law, women's rights, public health, and inclusive and equitable development. I take seriously legal regulatory frameworks. I take seriously public health and wellness, and I take seriously my reputation and standing in the community and in my profession. So it is with seriousness of purpose that I'm excited to bring this venture to the Upper East Side, together with my partners who I trust, who I know, and with a vision that will bring value and goodness to the community. Thank you. Excuse me, I'm under the weather right now, so excuse my voice. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, we are going to go to Kim Mascaritolo on Zoom, but Liam Jeffries, if you're here in person, you will be next in person. Liam Jeffries, you can make your way to the mic. With that, let's go to Kim.
Go ahead, Kim.
Great. Hi, everybody. I'm Kim Mascaritolo. I'm a district leader here on the Upper East Side. I live in Yorkville. I'm here to speak in support of, I believe, a resolution that you all will be voting on later from the Transportation Committee in support of daylighting around our intersections. It had overwhelming support in the committee, so I'm hoping it will have a lot of support here, but you never know. So I wanted to voice my support. I think it's a no-brainer, making sure that we have visibility at our intersections so that people in cars can see pedestrians and pedestrians can see any cars coming. I think anecdotally, we've all had those experiences where we come around a corner and there are cars parked there and we can't see cars coming. But also the data shows us that this type of change to our rules can really save lives. So I'm really in support of it. And along the same vein of pedestrian safety, I know earlier it was mentioned a bill that's in the city council now that would register all e-bikes. I personally am not a huge supporter of Councilman Holden's bill. I think there's some great potential legislation out there from Senator Hoyleman Siegel about registering mopeds at manufacturers, things that can really keep people safe. But I'm really concerned that Councilman Holden's bill is really just going to give folks a false sense of security. It's going to create a lot of bureaucracy in the city. And I think it's really just going to discourage people from riding e-bikes at a time when I think we should be encouraging people to use environmentally friendly modes of transportation and getting folks out of their cars. So I think as a city, what we really need to do along the same lines as the daylighting bill is focus on creating streets that really prioritize the safety of both pedestrians and bicyclists and deprioritize the needs of folks who are driving. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, let's go to Carol Maisonneuve.
Liam is in Zoom.
Oh, okay, fine. Liam, we'll go to Liam first.
All right, customary mic check. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I am also here to speak on daylighting. The previous point, my points in favor of it are actually quite similar to the points that the previous speaker made. So I'll keep my comments short. I also think it's a no-brainer, and I will point out that if you want to see a good example of what daylighting looks like in action, we have one now. Because with the 3rd Avenue bike lane that went in for the pedestrian islands, actually really good examples of daylighting. You have, among other things, very wide sections where cars are not supposed to be parked, and in many of those sections, they actually are purposed for things such as bike racks and I think it's maybe seating in a few areas. And the idea of that is, the result of that, and I can say this personally as someone who lives on 3rd Avenue, is that it's been a transformational change in terms of the safety of the street almost overnight. Like you don't have to, especially if you're crossing on the side of the bike lane, you don't have to look out as much for car, or at least go out in traffic as much for cars, because there's actually space for you to look to see if a car is coming. Well, before you were sort of risking life and limb if you were to go out in front of a parked car to see if a car was coming across. So I am in favor of daylighting. I sincerely hope that the board fully approves the resolution that was passed in the Transportation Committee. And I yield my time. Have a very good evening.
Thank you very much. Carol.
So the microphones are picking you guys up if you're chatting from here. Carol.
Carol Maisonneuve.
Carol, if you're here, please use the reactions icon to raise your virtual hand. Who's after that?
Liam Martins.
Liam, I see you, so I'm gonna go ahead and unmute you.
Yeah, I'm Liam. I live here in Lenox Hill, and I just want to also express my support for the daylighting. I think it's a very important part of the safety of especially pedestrians, which I think should be prioritized at all times over other users on the road. I think we all know those instances where cars try to get through the orange light and just kind of make that turn without looking and without slowing down. And they can be scary and they can be dangerous. So I think I hope the board will approve the resolution that was voted on last time by the Transportation Committee. Yeah, I mean, I'll keep it short. I just want to express my support for it.
Thank you. Next is Nick Ross.
Nick, you can unmute.
Hi, good evening. Thank you. My name is Nick Ross. I'm a resident of CB8, and I'm rising to speak in support of the resolution from the Transportation Committee regarding daylighting. As a pedestrian who walks the streets of our neighborhood every day, I think I join with pretty much all of our residents saying that daylighting and other similar initiatives make our streets and everyone in the neighborhood safer. As many of you know, in July of 2022, my girlfriend, Carly Mott, lost her life while biking to work on the Upper East Side. It's a tragedy I would not wish on anyone ever. And I want to remind you all that resolutions like these keep people safe and prevent things like this from happening. And since then, I've joined with Families for Safe Streets at every opportunity to advocate for initiatives that make our roads safer and prevent further traffic fatalities, including pedestrian fatalities, a tragedy that daylighting seeks to prevent. I think the resolution in support of daylighting, as others have said, is a no-brainer. Specifically begins with areas near schools, senior centers, and those intersections where the most vulnerable in our community cross the streets. Again, I urge you to pass this resolution and continue the fight to make our neighborhood safer. Thank you again.
Thank you. Next is Megan Brady.
Megan, go ahead and unmute.
Hello, my name is Megan Brady and I live in Yorkville, and I'm also speaking to support daylighting. Daylighting is a proven way to make our city streets safer. And I unfortunately know firsthand what can happen when we put the needs of cars ahead of pedestrians and bikers when designing our streets. My roommate and best friend, Carly Mott, was killed on July 26, 2022, while biking from our home on the Upper East Side to her job in Times Square, and she was only 28. Her death and the death and injuries of others impacted by traffic violence could have been prevented with differently designed streets that put pedestrian and biker safety at the forefront. While not everyone drives, we are all pedestrians at some point. We will all benefit from daylighting. And daylighting has been implemented in many other cities and has proven very effective. The Tenderloin area of San Francisco saw a 14% decrease in reported collisions with daylighting. Hoboken saw a 30% drop in pedestrian injuries when it was implemented. Traffic violence most often takes place at intersections, so this expanded sightlines and lower vehicle speeds in turning resulting from daylighting will make our intersections safer. In a city like New York that emphasizes its many public transportation options, especially walking and biking, the infrastructure has to keep up with these needs. So daylighting provides a concrete step to doing that. So thank you, and I hope you support this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next is Felipe Castillo.
Felipe, you can unmute. Felipe Castillo, you can unmute. Why don't we jump him and go to
Daniel Sutton.
Daniel, look for a prompt.
Thank you. My name is Daniel Sutton. I live in Greenwich Village in CB2, and I'm also here in support of daylighting, opening intersections and making them more visible to drivers that can see pedestrians walking through the crosswalks and across the street. It would save lives, and that only makes sense. So yeah, I'll just keep it short, but I do support daylighting. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is Hindi Schachter.
Hindi, you can unmute.
Thank you. I'm Hindi Schachter. I'm a senior citizen, cyclist, pedestrian, driver, and longtime resident of CB8. Like Nick Ross and Megan Brody, I am affiliated with Families for Safe Streets, which means that I lost somebody in a traffic crash. My loss was a husband of 47 years, and it came in 2014. If this city had made safety improvements to the design of streets in 2014, when I started advocating for such improvements, Nick and Megan might be having a pleasant evening elsewhere tonight. We're way behind the ball. We have to make many improvements to the city's streets. And I'm delighted that the Transportation Committee came out in favor of daylighting. Daylighting hits the problem where its center is, with intersections and turns where many of the deaths occur. I hope the full board will vote to bring a strong daylighting design in with adequate protection to keep cars out of the freed up spaces. Thank you.
Thank you. So we are going to go in a second to Dylan Geronimo Kennedy, but just before we do, last call for other folks that I called who were not on when I called their names: Evelyn David, Hayden Keegan, Carol Maisonneuve, Leslie Samuels. If you still want to speak, please raise your hand in the Zoom. But let's go to Dylan Geronimo Kennedy.
Hi, can everyone see and hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. So I wanted to first speak on daylighting. I know we just heard a lot of others, so I'll be very short on that, but just wanted to express my support for it. In addition to it making our streets safer, the eventual plan that was expressed at the Transportation Committee meeting would be, you start with flex posts, but then you move on to things like planters and other, more permanent, durable structures to keep that space clear. And in addition to making the city safer, I think that will just be a much more pleasant, visually delightful thing to have on every corner, just a way of making the pedestrian experience better, both from a safety and from a green perspective. I know that during this meeting, we will also be discussing City of Yes. I think it's just the economic opportunity portion, but I want to express my complete support for the City of Yes, and I think that's a great way for New York City to kind of grow and change going forward. And I know we had a number of different applicants for cannabis dispensaries. And I just want to say I am in complete support of any of the legal ones which want to operate. And if people haven't, and I understand that if you have not, if you have no interest in buying cannabis, you might not, but I strongly encourage you, if you are thinking about this topic, to go to some of the legal ones, like there's one in Union Square, and just see how dramatically different that is from these illegal ones which have popped up. And I actually happen to know conclusively that one of the illegal ones on the Upper East Side was selling cannabis under a given label, pretending to be a product. When checking that company's website, they did not even offer that product at all. That experience does not happen with the legal ones. And so I strongly urge daylighting, City of Yes, and legal cannabis. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, well, that is a pretty good segue to the next item on the agenda.
You do have Evelyn David.
Oh, okay, we'll go to Evelyn David.
Evelyn, you know how to unmute?
Yes, hi, good evening. My name's Evelyn David. I live at 806 Lexington Avenue. That is in the CB8 zone. The last time somebody asked me, where do you live? Do you live in CB8? Yes, absolutely. Want to thank the city for making the streets safer. I know they are, because I walk to work in the morning right now in my particular job, and they are making whatever they're putting in with new lanes and new parking spaces, allowing for more space for the bikers. Actually, the bike lanes are looking more visible. I can't believe I'm saying this, because the bikers are really paying not so much attention to us, but at least for people walking down the street, you can see better who's coming. I mean, you really have to pay attention. Anyway, and the turn lanes, they're doing something with cones or something that I saw, and that is really will stop people from just making very sharp turns. Okay, that's on Lexington and 3rd Avenue. Not Lexington, sorry, 3rd Avenue. 3rd Avenue, they're making great improvements, and 2nd Avenue. So thank you very much, New York City, for doing that. My pet peeve, and obviously I'm still rankling about this, parking passes, please do not forget. And whoever is looking into that, I really appreciate it. Whoever's doing the research, please continue doing that. We are going to need eventually some big help. I know that, and you know that. But thank you very much for all your work, and so I'll just leave it at that. Okay, thank you very much for letting me speak, even though I was late. I'm so sorry. I had something else I was doing, and I just completely couldn't get on the call. So thank you, and have a good. I'll be listening. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so let's move to the next item in the agenda, which is a public hearing on City of Yes for economic opportunity. So as board members know, we,
Really hard to hear.
oh, sorry, okay, I'll try to speak up. So we're gonna spend up to an hour on this, max. We're only considering 7 of the proposals. This is about City of Yes. We don't do public comments from the board unless they ask for permission as well. We don't do public session from board members, except for events. So for City of Yes, we've got, I think it is 7, 8 specific proposals to consider tonight. So we're going to just sort of take them in turn, and we're not going to do a motion, like a formal motion or resolution on this tonight, but what I think we'll do is more like an informal straw poll on each item, just to sort of figure out where the board is. And then that can be incorporated into our resolution that we ultimately do in January or February. So what I would say is just procedurally, if you, instead of saying that you want to make a motion, if that's what you would have done, to say, we approve proposal 7 or whatever the case may be, just say, I move for a straw poll on that issue and sort of say what your resolution would be, and we'll vote on that. So, and we'll do the voting sort of more informally in the interest of time. So we're going to start with proposal number 7, which is urban agriculture. So you guys have all gotten the memos on this. And I don't know if folks have comments on this one or views as to what we should do. Just one other point here is, our commentary on these, we can say yes, we can say no. I think if we are going to say no, and even in some cases, if we're going to say yes, I think it would be good to provide commentary in terms of requesting modifications that we'd like to see, specifically what it is that we have an issue with, or what kinds of changes we would like to see in the proposal, if that's part of it. So with that, I will open it up to the board for comments on this. Yes, Salita.
Thank you. For proposal 7, I read George James's thing, and it makes a lot of sense to question why they would want to use residential units for anything commercial when there is such a housing shortage. So I would like to suggest that all of those empty B and C office buildings be used for hydroponic farming and other such business ventures that may be moved into residential neighborhoods in this particular City of Yes plan, whether it's hydroponic farming or barber shops or any of the like, that residences should be retained to residential use.
Okay, so it's that more or less to say, we approve, except we don't want it eligible in residential, but in the other uses we're okay.
Yes, and not in community facility. Yes. Space. Commercial space, yes, not community facilities.
Okay.
Agreed.
And just really quickly, so Alita's volume, just make sure you're a little bit higher than that, and if you need to, stand up if you're gonna speak. Yes.
Who else? Yeah, sorry.
I was just reading about it, and I hope I'm loud enough, that
not quite so loud, a little louder, please.
Sorry.
Here,
I'm
you
just
pass her
reading
mic.
that it
That's
was
right.
stated, since it's I'm just saying that I was reading the notes, the memo, and it mentioned even cannabis, like it can be used within that frame of agriculture. And that I feel like I don't want that happening in any part of our community board. So I wanted to highlight that that is included as well, and that we should take out. It's a different thing having a licensed cannabis, but it's very different, agriculture happening. And that includes cannabis.
All right, we're gonna go to Michelle and then Valerie and then Sharon.
Yeah, well, I echo what Sahar said, but aside from that, my concern is that we're not being specific in defining agriculture. Any number of things could come under that category. I think agriculture in even storefronts, certainly not residential, certainly not apartments, certainly not in office buildings where there are businesses on the floors, but also agriculture
can introduce a lot of other issues. You're dealing with soil, which, you're dealing with water, which can cause flooding. You're dealing with plants, which can attract bugs. You're dealing with a lot of other issues that I don't believe belong indoors in this city. That's for the outskirts of the city and where agriculture is traditionally happening. So I'm not for this. I don't think it's a good idea on many, many, many levels. Thank you.
Okay, let's go to Valerie on Zoom.
Hi, thank you, everybody. I guess, yeah, that's my concern, in terms of limiting it to commercial. Is it are we saying commercial and only commercial buildings? Because we do have the mix. And, I guess, I mean, I'm seeing it almost like a restaurant and the impact that restaurants have sometimes when it's in a mixed use building with residential, and having a family that has a family farm. It's different when you have vermin in a family farm, and it's outdoors than when it's running through the walls and et cetera. And, you know, not just talking about our favorite four-legged friends, but, you know, bugs as well. And so I just think we should be careful about that.
Okay. So, Sherry.
I'm okay with hydroponic farming that doesn't involve soil. I would object to taking residential properties to use for this, and I would have certainly exclude cannabis under the definition of what agriculture can be grown.
Ed.
Thanks, Russell. My question is more of like, what are they gonna be growing other than cannabis? Because I'm trying to picture people growing like hydroponic tomatoes in apartments or lettuce or something. I mean, I'm used to seeing that in all seriousness. I mean, I'm just trying to picture that in our community. I mean, I know this is for the city, so I'm just trying to picture this in my mind, like, you know, just that kind of an operation. Do they have any kind of an example? Agriculturally, like what they think people might be doing in their apartments? That's just my question.
I mean, so I don't know really, but I mean, I think there's been a lot of technological advances. I think it actually is possible to grow a lot of different things in sort of small areas now. So I don't think it's all, I mean, I'm sure they had cannabis in mind with this, but I don't think that's necessarily.
Yeah, I'm not against cannabis. I'm just curious.
No, I understand. Yeah, I don't know, but I think it's broader than that. Well, I'll go to Rita on Zoom, but I also just, if folks want to actually put a sort of straw poll motion on the floor for us to vote on this, we can do that and then move to the next one. Let's go to Rita.
This is really not missing in the city. We live in the city and we import everything that people grow. We don't enforce a lot of things in the city, and we won't enforce this. This is something that people will ingest, and that we need to be sure that every precaution is taken. And the way to do it is to vote no against this. This doesn't belong in the city as far as I'm concerned. Thank you.
Yeah, make a motion.
Okay, well, all right, well, I'll make it's a straw poll, but a motion that there is no urban agriculture in the city. I was gonna say as defined in the proposal, but I would rather make it broader than just say there's no.
You basically just want no on this.
I do.
That's
I want no.
that's your.
Okay,
Is there a second? Okay, so that's been seconded. That's on the floor. Elizabeth,
Let's make a substitute motion.
go for it.
And if seconded, I will speak to it, then we vote in favor. However,
limited to commercial buildings or manufacturing locations, not in residential buildings or residential buildings with a C1 or C2 overlay.
Is there a second?
Well, apparently, we want to exclude cannabis, don't we?
Well, let's just hear Elizabeth speak to her drop.
So I actually believe that there is urban agriculture happening in the city. I think there are rooftop farms. There are restaurants that are growing their own herbs and greens, largely in basements, actually. And that there are additional uses for this. I'm not going to say that cannabis is not what some people have in mind, but cannabis is legal. And we are supporting legal cannabis stores. I'm not quite sure why we wouldn't also support licensed, regulated, legal cannabis growth. Because it'll only happen if it's economically viable and there's a positive reason for it. I think the urban agriculture that is happening, frankly, some of it is happening in less privileged neighborhoods than ours that are food deserts. And it's a very positive thing, and I think that can be expanded. And I do think it is a part of the restaurant ecosystem that will also expand.
Okay. And there's strict regulations on it. Okay, so Elizabeth doesn't accept your. Yeah, I was seconded. Okay. Any other comments on the resolutions on the floor? Barbara?
I think first I was not going to. I wanted to second Elizabeth because I do agree with it. And also in terms of the environment, to have rooftop and so on. I just wonder if we are careful with what's commercial, just to make sure that it's not somebody's apartment next door to me that can cause a problem.
Yeah,
So
well,
I think that's been commercial, am I right, Elizabeth?
Yes.
Okay.
Paul?
I support the proposal put forward by Elizabeth. I think it's a fine distinction. Again, we should not be saying no to cannabis growth if we're saying yes to legal cannabis growth. We're saying yes anyway.
Greg?
Thank you. I just want to ask, if Elizabeth maybe weigh in on this. If we want to consider the expanded use of, say, green roofs and have roofs that are used in an environmental friendly way, but those make that residential buildings may be interested in using that for that purpose, which would have environmental benefits and wouldn't take up any space, is there a way that we can accommodate that in the resolution?
I think there is an opportunity for outdoor use in residential facilities. I think this was very much focused on the indoor use.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think second guess isn't really addressed towards green roofs specifically, it's more of that.
Okay, I just wanted to get that confirmation.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Fred, that green roofs is a very positive thing in use and should be allowed.
Thank you. So for these, just to be clear, well, someone can call the question on the thing that's on the floor and second you with the question, so let's go ahead, please.
I would have some concerns about not exempting cannabis from this. I think to the point that I think Michelle mentioned earlier, there is very little regulation in enforcement of rules in general. But in addition, we have farms in New York State that are licensed to grow cannabis, and we need to support our farms in New York State. They're in Long Island, they're in upstate New York, and I think it's important to be supporting those important sectors of our economy.
Leah?
Just a friendly amendment, I'd like to just ask for strict enforcement of DOB rules because plants and water can be heavy. And there has to be enough enforcement and regulation of the circumstances or the parameters surrounding growing things. And just as an aside, I saw a frame car that was used to grow greens and herbs in Brooklyn and the equivalent of 5 acres, I think, of farmland in one of those because of the vertical ability to grow. It was really astonishing, and their products are sold in farmers markets and even some grocery stores. So it can actually, and they wanted to put something on NYCHA properties. I don't know what happened, but there is a use for agriculture of goods, of produce, not cannabis necessarily.
You accept the friendly amendment about that?
I accept the friendly amendment about.
Rebecca?
Call the question.
Is anyone opposed to calling the question? Okay, so we're just gonna do a show of hands, so if you're,
does it include cannabis?
cannabis is allowed under this. So the straw vote that's on the floor is to approve proposal 7, accept, limiting it solely to commercial and manufacturing buildings. So even like a, you know, residential building that has a commercial first floor would not be eligible. But in commercial and manufacturing buildings, we're saying yes. And also that we would include an enforcement provision to say that, you know, making sure that COD is applying whatever restrictions there are in terms of the water and what have you, would be part of the agriculture.
I didn't hear what Elizabeth said. Does that include roofs?
No, roofs, we're just not addressing roofs because it's not part of the city, yes. So we're just gonna do a show of hands, so if you're in favor of this, raise your hand. Okay, and do the same on Zoom too, if you're in favor, use your hand raise, you know, reaction thing. Don't raise your hands, do the icon.
And just to clarify, everybody on Zoom, we're only asking this of the board members, so I'm gonna keep lowering your hand if you're not a board member.
Good, thank you. Okay, thank you guys. If you are opposed to this, raise your hand here and on Zoom.
I'm gonna lower all the hands on Zoom.
So I'll just do that. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11. On Zoom is 12. Okay, sorry. So just everybody who's in favor, raise your hands again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so the ayes have it. So presumably we'll incorporate this, the resolution as Elizabeth stated.
How many yeses were there?
More than 12.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just trying to. So proposal number 8, life sciences. So everybody saw the memos on this from George James. And also, I think you guys also got the response from DCP, so I think it's important we also keep that in mind. But do folks have views on this? Leah?
Yeah. When the blood.
Oh, sorry, let me just, I didn't know, so George James actually is kind enough to join, so if folks have additional questions, he's on, so go ahead.
When the blood center was putting its proposal to build for the community, one of the issues was one of the issues for the blood center was containing a BSL-3 lab. And the people opposed to the blood center asked the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, whatever DOHMH is, about locations of BSL-3 labs. And they wouldn't tell us, as George points out in his memo, because they felt that it was too dangerous to tell the public. Why then are they not too dangerous to have in residential communities? I think there needs to be a limitation. I understand the interest in promoting and using life sciences facilities, but there needs, in my opinion, to be some kind of restriction on the products or processes in the labs, and that anything BSL-3 and above, because there are labs above, should not be in residential neighborhoods or where the density exceeds a certain amount of people per whatever it is, square block, square, half block, whatever. Thank you.
All right, so I don't see other hands. I'm gonna just briefly make a comment, which is setting aside the whole blood center issue. I don't understand what the what the need for this is. I mean, I don't understand why the current system is inadequate. I don't really understand the idea of why, you know, we think that this industry absolutely needs all of this additional help. So to me, that's my big question, even setting it separate and apart from the whole blood center issue.
Can you highlight the difference? In other words, what is and what they're proposing?
So as it stands now, as I understand it from the memo, you need a special permit in order to be able to open labs. So you would have to go through the whole special permit appeal process. So this is basically taking away, it's passing a special permit that essentially makes this possible anywhere. So you wouldn't have to go through that process, and the idea is just to incentivize more life sciences facilities just anywhere.
I'll make a motion to vote no.
Okay, so second. Okay, so that's a motion for a disapproval straw poll, just to straighten out. So that's what's on the floor. Other comments? I see Rebecca in the back. Rebecca. Barbara.
I just want to say there's a lot of medications that are dangerous.
I know, I was speaking to an oncologist that was talking about how people are exposed to chemotherapy types of drugs and radiation and so on. So I'm not sure, it worries me if we're too restrictive about it. I don't see the difference. We have a lot of things that do leach into our air and so on, and I wonder, I've not heard that any of this thing is really a real issue to me.
Rebecca.
Call the question.
Okay, the question has been called. Is anyone opposed to calling the question? Thank you. Okay, so the resolution is just a flat disapproval for proposal number 8. So everybody in favor of the resolution, so yes means no.
And can we do on Zoom, use the reaction for,
Use the reaction here.
go ahead and instead of raising your hand, use the reaction for yeah, the green if you're in favor of it, and the red if you're not. Green check means like it. Red X means you don't.
Okay, that's 21 yes. Who is anyone opposed to the resolution? 6.
Yeah, 3 on. 3 on that.
Okay. All right, so this passes.
Russell, I don't know if you're recording any votes. Are you recording votes?
I'm not recording the numbers. We're gonna, all of this is
So I
gonna be
want to
incorporated.
recuse myself, even though it's a general thing where I normally wouldn't recuse. Because the blood center is so involved in this particular one, and our firm representative in that has to go with it, so I don't want to go, you know.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
If you can just note that, so the record.
Sure. Yeah, if you need to not vote for cause on any of these, you should, please do let us know that. So
That's all right.
Okay. Let's do proposal 9, the nightlife one. Greg?
Can I put a motion on for this?
Yes.
For Purple to, support this?
This is straight yes.
Straight yes.
Okay, there's a second. You want to speak to your proposal?
Yeah, I think the city council changed the law back.
Just be very careful as you get up.
Yeah. The city council changed the law in 2017 to remove, what was previously known as the cabaret law to reduce the limitations on, these types of, these types of venues, and it would make sense for the zoning to conform with that. This is not going to, at least in my interpretation, based off of what the proposal is, have much of an impact at all in our district. I know that George James mentions that theoretically, larger facilities would be as of right on Madison Avenue, but the chances of that ever happening would be very unlikely. And I think that this community should have options for business owners who wish to have some of these activities that are appropriate in this community.
Michelle.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that in the old laws, the amount of, thank you, the amount of musicians or dancing or whatever was really based on the square footage. And of course, it was regulated by zoning. But this one seems to be much broader, and it's not really restricted by size or anything. So theoretically, you could have however many musicians in a very, very small area. Now, whether or not that becomes cost effective for the owner, because they can't have enough attendees to warrant the expenditure, that's another story. But the fact that it's permissible is of concern, because regulating interior, what happens in interiors, is very, very difficult. As you see in the city, it's difficult to enforce what's happening in daylight right in the middle of the street. So I think this poses a problem, and it's in residential areas. I think it's problematic. Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna go to Elizabeth Ashby on Zoom. Just hand it to John.
Elizabeth, you can unmute.
My hand is up by mistake.
Okay. John, go ahead.
I also got an issue about this with regard to noise. I think it could end up generating a lot of noise, people need to get their sleep, and it's not as if New York doesn't have ample entertainment venues already. So I would be opposed.
Alita. But you don't need the mic, you can
Okay.
just.
I would just like to ask for an exemption for Madison Avenue. There are already one club going into the Westbury Hotel that used to be the Westbury, and another private club somewhere in the low 60s. So it is not unthinkable that Madison Avenue will have interest, and Madison Avenue, at least as expressed in other board meetings, is a very particular and very special asset of the Upper East Side. So I would like to exclude it from anything relating in general to the dancing and nightclub thing. Thank you.
Would you accept
You
a,
don't want.
I do not want Madison.
so would you accept a friendly amendment to say that we're exempting, yes, but not we're exempting the Madison Avenue district?
I don't know that we should have an exemption on Madison Avenue per se, because there may be facilities within some of these, they're clubs or hotels that have such activity where it's not going to produce noise at street level and impact residents necessarily. And why should they be excluded from same rules that everyone else is?
Because Madison Avenue is a different area than other blocks and I think deserves special recognition. Tons of tourists and visitors come up, and I'll just stop there.
Let's go to Billy on Zoom.
Call the question.
Second. Is there a second? Is anyone opposed to calling the question? Okay, all right, so the straw poll that's out here is just a straight yes on number 9. So everyone, who's in favor? 1, 2, 3, 6, 8,
Wait, is this?
10, 11, 12, in favor of 19.
Okay, sir.
15. You have 1 16. Okay, so that's 16 yes. Who's opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Maybe we can zoom 3. 3 is on Zoom. 15. Okay, so it does not pass. It's even. So
It divorced.
yeah, it did not pass. It was tied.
So let's leave. You're not putting it in.
Well, what about if we do the version with the friendly amendment? What if we do, I personally would change my vote if we exempt that step. So I'll actually just put that as a substitute motion. Okay, so.
What is the motion?
I guess the substitute, but add to your substitute motion, the minute.
Yeah.
So what I would want to see is some kind of limitations on noise. I mean, I know we have noise codes that set decibel limits, but some kind of building requirements about baffling or other things to address the noise issues.
Okay, yeah, I accept that. Okay, so the current version then is, it's yes, but we're gonna exempt Madison Avenue from the Madison Avenue special district, and we're also going to incorporate requirements about noise mitigation and that kind of thing for any of these facilities.
And
So-
open windows, the doors.
Yeah, okay, that can be part of it too. So all of that will go into the noise mitigation. So that's the version that's on the floor now. Sorry.
Sorry, back then, like, what is it, crowd outside, like, we added the noise, and we also add the traffic outside, that it doesn't take away from the road, and that people are going back and forth, is that something we can add on?
Yeah, I think we can. I mean, I don't know to what extent the noise, and ultimately that other stuff is gonna be incorporated into the zoning resolution, but I certainly agree with you, so I'm happy to incorporate it and, sort of make it what we will. I'm gonna go to Jane and then Greg.
Well, I just hope everybody has thought very carefully about what common sense even means in our city.
Can you speak up, please?
I don't really need a microphone, but I'm appalled by the insertion of this term common sense. What does it even mean, common sense? Thank you. I can't support this in any way, shape, or form.
That phrase has left the station,
right.
common sense.
I was just gonna suggest that we just, there are gonna still be, procedures in place for approving such facilities and, or such activities and. I would assume that there are still gonna be procedures in place for us to, as a community board, to be approving such, any proposals for these types of, facilities anyway, so I would imagine that any of the noise concerns and crowding concerns, those are things that we would be able to address as we're, analyzing any applications that would come in
Not
for such.
necessarily.
I mean, the licenses will come to us, but I incorporated those as friendly amendments.
That's fine.
It's as of right, if it's within the
They
law.
would still
you
have to get a
have-
liquor license if they need.
Yeah, maybe.
Abraham, call the question? Second, okay. Questions been called. Anybody opposed to calling the question? So the current version is yes, except not in the Madison Avenue, special district, and we're incorporating noise mitigation requirements and also, mitigating the effects of, people congregating, preventing people from congregating unduly in front of the facilities to avoid having an image of.
So it's a hotel on Madison Avenue, they're not allowed to have any affairs there or anything like that?
No, that's not.
It's just saying that this, so,
This new proposal.
right, so the new proposal as drafted would mean that these facilities can come in to Madison Avenue as of right because of the zoning that they have there. And this is saying we don't want to change that.
Hotel cups, would a new hotel not be able to do this, are we saying?
It's a different entity.
Yeah, I'm not sure, I don't know.
That's what I'm afraid, I don't like that limitation.
So you're answering the question?
I hope so.
Okay, go ahead.
In a hotel.
Speak up.
Just stand up.
No, it's like we're not gonna do that.
In a hotel, it's an accessory use to the, primary use of the primary hotel use. I think this is really aimed for what are effectively standalone dining and dancing establishments. That's my understanding of what in fact is proposed.
Yeah, George is
So-
taking, George Jennings, yes.
So we'll go to George next.
Yeah.
Okay.
George, you're on mute.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it's, if you're in a hotel, that would be accessory and that would be a hotel use, not a nightclub use.
Right. Okay, so that answers that.
Okay, all right, so the question's been called, so we're gonna vote on the current version. So everybody in favor of the motion that's on the floor? 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17, 18, 19, 20. How many online? Any?
You have 3 online.
So it's 23. Is that a majority of the? Yeah, okay, so it passed, big right? I did. Okay, all right, so that is number 9 passes. Number 10, amusements. No, that's the majority, yeah, we're moving faster. So who wants to speak on number 10?
You have 30 more minutes to discuss the next ones. You said yourself an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah, 27. Let's see if we can be valid.
I'm not sure that the people online got counted. Elizabeth didn't even we didn't even have an opportunity to go up or down. There's quite a few of us on here.
So I counted 3, Will told me there were 3 hands in favor for that from the online people, so I did incorporate that.
Yes.
Well, but what about the 4 or 5 that were voting no?
There was a majority for yes, I didn't do it, there was a
Okay,
majority.
I couldn't hear how many on the floor were yes, because I was a no. So I just want to make sure my vote was recorded, that's all. And I don't think Elizabeth had her vote, or Rita, or even Judy for that matter, had her vote recorded.
Yeah, there was, the yeses had, there was an overwhelming majority for yes, so I didn't count the no's.
Okay.
We're doing this.
No, so everybody feels they're.
I just think it's not necessary.
Okay, that's all. I just wanted a clarification, that's all.
Yeah,
Thank you.
leave it.
Sorry. George was really clear in his report that amusements could change the entire nature of neighborhoods. Well, we can't speak for CD5 or CD1 or any place else. If you look at what's going on with those giant rides, is that something we want, even if they don't come into this district? And then on, again, for Madison Avenue or any place else, video game arcades, pinball arcades, it changes the nature of communities. And to do this without community input, I feel is really wrong. To just have a blanket as of right ability to put in amusements that will have an impact on neighborhoods. Thank you.
All right, well, I would just suggest, I think there's a distinction to be made. I feel a lot more comfortable personally with a pinball arcade than I do with Ferris wheel, but Elizabeth.
So to that point, all my notes that I wrote on this are about outdoor amusements and height and how does it get counted in sort of a building envelope or a zoning envelope. And so I think there is, particularly for things that might be on top of buildings, there needs to be a whole lot more regulation around, you know, this needs to count towards your FAR. This needs to count towards your building envelope. There need to be height limitation impacts. This 8th Avenue hotel that James included, that George included in the memo, this is an aberration. And that should not happen, you know, with no reduction in FAR or anything else. You need to sort of treat these outdoor things as if they were indoor in terms of height and use and bulk, and other aspects of the zoning regulation. And I also thought that this is another good reason for us to upzone our C8 and M blocks so that we don't have outdoor amusements on the Upper East Side. But the types of things that go into a commercial space office building, like escape rooms, you know, don't throw out the baby with the bathwater on some of these indoor uses. Like escape rooms is something that I think would be considered an amusement. Pinball arcades is an amusement. There is a lot of things beyond these outdoor amusement parks.
I think as someone who has a daughter entering the middle school age, we do have a lack of social spaces for children who are aged 10 to 18 here. And so I think the indoor spaces, we should allow them as much as we can, but I do understand the outdoor spaces. And so I wonder if we could have something that has something where we say like, yes to the indoor with some sort of cautious language around what we will permit for outdoor.
Yeah, definitely. Michelle.
My recollection, I've actually been there with my grandchildren, if it's still around, is on Second Avenue in the 70s. There is or was a pinball place indoors, a little storefront. And there is currently around the corner from Wagner, I think also on Second or Third Avenue, a store that actually has board games where kids can go in and play.
Yes.
No alcohol.
Texaco does have alcohol. It's
It
not,
does?
Texaco. It serves alcohol. Yeah.
Which one was that?
Texaco, the board game.
Oh, do they serve
Yes,
alcohol?
the
I
alcohol
didn't
place
know
I think
that.
is closed.
I
it
didn't
closed
know
in the
that,
pandemic.
because it's mainly children, I thought that, but,
Many-
well, anyway,
Yeah.
whatever. Well, it serves alcohol, but that's not in this, proposal, we're not talking about alcohol, are we?
No,
So,
but having spaces, I think, for kids without alcohol, you would
well,
say.
but that, then you have to say it, that's it, you have to specify without alcohol.
I don't care.
It's not about not, it's just about having more options for amusements. But I don't want it to turn into like a, so any other.
I would like to suggest that if we vote yes on this, that we make sure that there are height and bulk limitations on it.
Okay. You know, just.
So I'll propose a straw poll to approve this with the following stipulations that we've talked about. One, that there's a distinction made between outdoor areas, which outdoor areas which we can say no to, and then indoor areas which we'd be happy with. I'm fine with the stipulation that there'd be no alcohol at these arcades or amusement places, and similarly, Felice's point about
I don't
I
think
don't care about the
it's not about banning alcohol, it's just
Okay.
providing
About
more options.
allowing.
Providing more options, okay, so then we can take out the alcohol part, so it would just be the outdoor versus indoor distinction and the bulk.
So your proposal is yes, indoor, no outdoor.
Yes.
Okay, is there a second to that?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Rebecca. Okay, all the questions. Yes.
When we say no outdoor, what does that mean? I'm a little confused what this outdoor exception.
We don't want to, okay, so basically the proposal is to change the rules to allow amusements, essentially, everywhere. So, or with the restrictions that are, that it does. And what we're saying is, we like the changes that it's making with respect to indoor amusements to make it possible to do indoor amusements in more zones. We don't like the change with respect to outdoor amusements. We don't want to make it possible to, expand the outdoor into more zones. So that's basically what the proposal is.
So we're saying keep the outdoor as is, not prohibited.
Right, keep the outdoor as is. We're saying no to the proposed change with regard to outdoor.
Right.
So that was, okay.
The friendly amendment is that these glass enclosed, that anything indoors still have to conform to height and bulk, restrictions. And not be used to simply increase the amount of air that's used.
We have that included.
Do you accept that? Okay, so that amendment is accepted. So, no, the question's been called. So unless we're doing, questions or
It's a question.
about what we're voting on?
Well, no. This is a big thing, and there's an overlay of putting commercial into residential
I
neighborhoods.
can't, this is now, I'm sorry, it's gotta be a question more important. You have a question?
Well, I just wanted to say that on the outdoor front, can we exclude parks from no outdoor expansion of amusement? Because parks are often used in New York City for.
I think you have a question.
So it's a friendly amendment or an offer of a friendly amendment to say, can we exclude parks?
Are they allowed in parks?
No.
George, go ahead.
Yeah, so this wouldn't apply to parks. Parks are not zoned. And so this only applies to actually zoned land. And so if there's an amusement in a park, it's because the Parks Department permitted it. That's it.
So the proposal isn't making changes to parks one way or the other. Right. Okay, so the question's been called. Anybody opposed to calling the question? No, okay, so the vote that's on the floor is we approve the changes with respect to indoor amusements and making those easier. We oppose the changes with respect to outdoor amusements, and we want to make sure that any outdoor amusements are going to be counted towards the FAR and height and bulk limitations. So with that, who is in favor of the proposal? 1, 2, 2, 3. So 23 here. 5 yeses on, so that's 28. So that's a clear majority. So I'm not going to take the notes because it's, So, all right, so that's the thing for that one. Number 11, home occupations. Home occupations, proposal 11. Alita.
Again, residential use should be, a residence should be for residential use, not for people to expand their businesses, as valuable as businesses are. They should be, it should not go into other apartments or expand into other residential areas or community facilities. And I have a general question for George, if I may ask it now, Russell.
Yeah.
Which is, how does all of this fit in with the city idea of expanding commercial space into residential neighborhoods? So could someone open a pinball arcade in the apartment next door to mine or next door to yours? I don't understand how all of this fits together. I'm looking at the screen and I don't know. Thank you. I know.
Go ahead, George.
Well, there are a number of prohibitions, like you can't sell goods, in your home. Could you open a pinball arcade? Well, what they're doing is it's not prohibited, but if it created noise or other objectionable effects that impacted the neighbors, well, then that would be a restriction. But of course, you'd have to call the Department of Buildings and they would have to send an inspector and they would have to experience that to actually enforce it. So in theory, I suppose you could, because there is nothing in here that prohibits traffic. And that was the unusual thing about this, is that if you look at other zoning codes, They all have something about home occupations, but the most common restriction is that it's a use that doesn't generate trips to your apartment, like with people coming to get their haircut or whatever, or play pinball. But that's not actually part of this. That would have to be covered other objectionable effects, which is a judgment call, and you don't really want to rely on that.
Sarah and then Sharon. Sarah.
I have a question, with this one, does the business owner also, does the homeowner also, or resident need to be the business owner? So are we just allowing people to use their homes or claim for their homes on their taxes as their tax preparations or consulting service? Or would someone be able to let their friend who?
Right, no, it has to be an ancillary or secondary use to the home owner, right? So the homeowner's business or the home or the tenant's business, right? It can't be just space they rent out to a commercial, unrelated commercial use. It wouldn't be permitted.
Thank you.
I want to take more, if you're gonna call.
No, I'm not.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
I want to offer, you know.
Oh, we don't even have a motion.
Yeah, it's second, I'll speak. Okay, the motion is to deny it.
It's just say no.
To say no on it.
Is there a second to no?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, the
Is he
second.
denying it?
Yeah, so Chuck is saying his motion is to just say no.
Just say no, and I want to say I agree with.
And speak up.
I'll say I agree with Alita, because it seems to me this is a prescription for a lot of trouble in rentals as well as co-op and condominium.
Yeah, that was gonna be my
We
question
spend,
to
we
George.
spend a lot of time in, making sure that people don't have occupations in the building that I live in. And I think you're just asking for trouble, and you're gonna get a lot of complaints, and people are gonna be very unhappy about that, because you're not gonna end up having any real control of what these do once you allow this to happen. So I think it's a bad idea.
Can I just ask George a question?
Yeah.
If this law were to be enacted, does a co-op or condo board have a say which could override this payment to?
Absolutely. So co-op rules, condo rules, leases, those take precedent, right? I mean, you could actually absolutely restrict business activities in your lease. This would just be if you had the ability to do that, then you could open the business. But yes, absolutely, the lease is primary.
All right, let's go to Judy. Judy?
Okay, I'm not sure I'm following this correctly. Does that mean if a person such as myself wanted to run a home office from one of my rooms, that I could not run an office from home and use this address as an office?
No, you could do.
Only people in and out.
Only if people are going in and out.
Let's let George answer the question.
Yeah, no, you can do that, absolutely. And you could even have one employee. The rules are now that you're limited to no more than 500 square feet or 25% of your apartment for the business use. The idea here is to increase it to half your apartment, have three employees, and then there's a whole list of occupations which you were prohibited, like you couldn't have a barber shop or a beauty salon, and those lists of prohibited occupations are going away and replaced instead with objectionable effects like noise, odors, glare, things like that.
Thank you.
I am going to disagree with much of what has been said, because I think that there are many.
You're on. Yeah, it's fine.
I'm loud enough. Never been told I was louder. Because I think that there are many occupations in this day and age that could very comfortably be done from home. I think of somebody doing manicures. I think of barbers, as they said, hair cutters.
Apparently, at barber shop.
No, but it wouldn't be. That's what I'm saying
No, I think George said it, so prohibited. Did you say it or not?
No, it says right here, barbers, they give the examples of what this would permit is barbers
And interior decorators, I mean, what would be wrong with an interior decorator? Having
So,
someone-
so to clarify, I'm sorry, just to clarify, that listing of occupations is the listing of occupations that is currently prohibited. And what they want to do is remove that, right? So those prohibitions would go away, just to clarify.
Right, and I'm agreeing with the,
I see.
getting rid of it, because I think that there are lots of, especially I've met a lot of young people, who do their business at home. And I don't think they're bothering anybody, you know, they're not making noise, they're not running a disco in their, you know, in their private time, but, you know, a barber, a hair cutter, you know, someone who goes around and cuts people's hair, or has someone come to your house to do it, they do manicures, there are accountants, you know, there are, I mean, there are innumerable, businesses that can quietly be done at home.
David.
I agree with Chuck, it's a terrible idea. I think that, sure, co-op or condo has its own move, keep it locked, but there are a lot of apartment buildings, there's gonna be chaos with people going in and out, there are gonna be security issues. I also think that you walk around the city and there are too many shop fronts that are still not rented. And I think you wanna make sure that our commercial streets are vital and that happens. So I'm against this totally. But then
We're gonna go to John and then to Zoe.
I agree with you, and to me, the issue isn't that you're doing business in your apartment, it's that people are coming and going into your building. And once the doorman lets them through, who knows where they go? So it's a security issue, it's absolutely.
Valerie.
I want to call the question.
There's a second.
Second.
Is anyone opposed to calling the question? Okay, so the proposal that's on the floor is just to say no to this, just a flat no. Everybody who's in favor of that, raise your hand, please. 1, 2, 6, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 6, there's 26 on the floor. I don't know how many we have. Cool. Okay, so this passes. So that's our position on this. We would like. Okay, next up. Number 12, streetscape. Any comments on this one? Elizabeth.
I didn't like that they would prohibit ground floor residential. I thought that was a somewhat gratuitous and illogical addition here. There are people who want ground floor residential, there are people who want steps, there are people who want no elevators. It just seems to me to be a why. Why is it here? So mine would be a modified, at a minimum, modified or remove the prohibition of ground.
Oh, sorry, okay, so Elizabeth's comment was essentially that we want to say no to the changes that eliminate ground floor residential.
Yeah.
Rebecca, go ahead.
It's got a motion.
Can't hear you.
Could you stand up?
There's no motion yet. Yeah, there's no, so just say.
And I'm concerned.
Stand up, please, and just speak.
I am concerned about, applying this in simple districts. Anything goes on.
Okay, Rebecca's comment was she was opposed to applying this to special districts, so she wants to exempt the special districts from this, and I think in particular, it's the Madison Avenue Special District that.
Question.
Yeah,
It's very broad to say to ensure that buildings contribute to surroundings. I mean, that's very broad. Are they mandating planters? Are they mandating a pop? Are they, I mean, what, how does it, if a building is there, it's contributing to the surroundings. It's, especially if it has architectural value. So maybe George could clarify that.
A lot of this has to do with the concept of transparency to avoid blank walls. So when you're walking down the street, you don't want to walk right next to a long brick wall, right? You want to have something to look at. And so there's requirements for shop windows on the commercial street, and limitation of the size of lobbies, right? So you can't have a big residential lobby on the commercial street, because that deadens, the concept is that deadens the vitality of the street. You want to have places you can go to and see, and you want to limit the curb cuts on the wide streets and the commercial streets. And so the idea is, you know, that's what the urban design rules do. They, essentially require, if you can't have a long blank brick wall against the sidewalk, because that's just bad for the pedestrian experience. And there's a whole bunch of little things like that. And very often buildings don't do that because they want show windows. This is just requiring that they do it.
But Elizabeth mentioned that included in this is no ground floor apartments, so that's not strictly commercial. If you had ground floor apartments, you'd have apartment windows. So this is not just this is talking about residential and commercial.
Right, so this would apply to mixed buildings. Mixed buildings are buildings that have commercial on the ground floor and then residences above. And what they're saying is that no more residences on the ground floor. They've got to be above the ground floor. There's, all of the rules that they've adopted in the floodplains are getting,
But what about things like doctor's offices, which are very commonly found on ground floors of residential buildings?
Right, those would be permitted on the ground floor. They would have certain limitations regarding the design, but yeah, you'd have windows for doctor's office that would be permitted.
That's permitted. Thank you.
Lead it.
Thank you. So at this point, New York is a city of neighborhoods, 59 community boards, 59 neighborhoods, and there should not be zoning that applies uniformly like this in streetscape to every single neighborhood. So I support Rebecca's idea that special districts should be exempted, because New York should be different from area to area. We should know where we are when we land out of the space time. That's all.
I don't understand the first floor. My building has a lobby on the first floor, and then in back of the lobby, there are 3 apartments. One's a dentist, but several apartments. Is that, you cannot build a building, or it's not right to have a first floor apartment? And what about?
As I understand, right, for new buildings, you wouldn't be able to have first floor apartments anymore, and the idea is to try and have more commercial on the ground floor to avoid having these blackout blocks and dead zones where there's no commercial space.
Yeah, and to be clear, that would be on commercial streets in commercial districts. So basically the wide avenues and wide streets on the Upper East Side, except for.
Would these and therefore be excluded?
Sorry?
I know some of them are doctor's office, but people have maisonettes on the first floor.
Right, and so the idea would be to exclude all of the dwellings, all space used for dwellings on the ground floor.
So I guess we need special because all of Park Avenue is that way, right?
Well, but Park Avenue is not a commercial zone, so accepting Park Avenue and Fifth Avenue, which is also not a commercial zone. So there, you're gonna have your doctor's offices and dwelling units on the ground floor.
On 87th and 2nd, is that a commercial zone?
87th and 2nd is the corner is commercial zone, the mid block is not.
So basically the Second Avenue one is Anthony, and then
This would then prohibit new buildings having a super department on the ground floor, which is a very common occurrence now. And among other things, it would then cause the apartment rent, sale price, whatever, for the rest of the building to go up, because of the free apartment that has now been moved off the ground floor and up to the second floor or above. Can we remove that whole prohibition on the housing?
yes, the answer to that is yes. Go ahead, Becky.
Yeah, I just wanna echo this, if we're looking for more housing, Why would we exclude a ground floor? We're saying, or the city is saying, that we should have basement apartments. Well, if we're going to have basement apartments, right, we might as well have first floor apartments. So I would vote no on this proposal personally. Plus, the city is flooded, it's this empty storefronts. We don't at the moment, that we need more storefronts, we need more houses. Thank you.
Okay, we're coming up on the hour, so I want to hopefully try and get like a poll on this soon, so that we can basically move on. I'm gonna go to Valerie on Zoom.
I'm calling the question.
There's no motion. There's no motion.
Oh, I thought the motion was we were gonna vote no. I'm sorry. So I'll make a straw motion that we vote no.
Just a flat no? Okay, is that second? There's second. Okay. Rebecca, a friendly amendment to the no?
Yes.
A no with a possible yes.
See that either way, we want special districts to get on it.
So are you, okay, so are you okay with a friendly amendment that says, no, but regardless of what happens, we want to specifically add that we want special districts to be accepted?
That's great. That's fine.
All right, so that's accepted. Okay, so that's the motion that's on the floor.
Repeat it, does it include the first, what about the first?
It's just a flat no to the whole thing.
It's a flat no, and if they don't take our recommendation, if they choose to go yes, then we definitely want an exemption for special districts.
And we want to exclude the residential.
You want that to be a?
It's a no.
It's just a no.
It's like Valerie's, if we go to yes.
Yeah, it's okay.
I don't know if we should qualify.
Well, it was accepted, the amendment was accepted. Okay, is there a second to call the question?
Second.
Okay, then is anybody opposed to calling the question? Okay,
What is it?
so the straw poll is to just say no to this one?
Yeah.
And with this additional, it's not really a condition, but an additional sort of point to say, if this gets accepted, notwithstanding our own no, that we want special districts to be exempted.
Can I make another friendly amendment?
Briefly.
With another friendly amendment, as long as we're giving the possibility of yes. To say that there should be ground floor apartments.
I agree.
I'm with Michelle.
You accept that friendly amendment?
Yeah, that's.
Only if.
I didn't get to ask George my question, but yeah, because I just don't understand the transparency rule, but anyway, that's for another day.
We don't have a whole bunch of sort of conditional.
Writing it up in residence.
Crazy amendment.
Eventually, it will at some point.
Okay, so this is a no, but if nobody listens to us, we want an exemption for special districts. And we want ground floor housing to be permitted with appropriate window lights. Why don't we say that for transparency, if that's okay?
But it's a no.
But it's a no, it's still a no. I don't want more friendly, I just want.
Just the no.
So then vote against it.
It's gonna make us look foolish.
So let's vote on it.
We're gonna vote on it and it could change in the final resolution. Yeah, the question is called. So people who are, if you're in favor of this proposal, which is a no with the additional sort of emphasis, raise your hand.
Straight.
It's a flat no, yeah.
Yeah,
One.
It's not a flat, are you?
Well, it's a no plus with emphasis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
I know.
9, 10, 11,
But just
12,
in
13,
case.
14, 15, 16, 17, 40. So that's 21. Is that a majority?
No.
No. Okay, so why don't we, if you're a no, raise your hand.
Just a flat what?
So if you're no on this resolution, meaning you want to vote no on the no.
Yeah, I guess
sense.
right.
No means yes on the proposal.
I know it's.
1.
Oh, wait a minute.
No, it doesn't mean yeah.
Sorry. No means no on the proposal.
No,
Oh,
right.
right, okay.
No, sorry. No means yes on, no means yes on the proposal, but
No, it doesn't.
you're right, fine.
It doesn't mean
Fine.
we're.
If you're voting no on the resolution,
This is.
you're no on the resolution.
Right.
Then we want another one that has stipulations.
Yeah, but you just have to vote first and then we can do another one if it.
We voted
So
down.
if you're voting no on the resolutions on the floor, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4.
On the resolution.
The resolution that's on the floor is no to the proposal. The resolution on the floor is no to the streetscape proposal.
Okay.
No.
That was the resolution. You already took the yes votes. So now if you're voting no on the resolution, raise your hand.
Okay.
changing my vote.
We're just saying.
People are confused about what they voted on. I don't think they are. I think this confusion was added. So all the no's, keep your hands up.
And Zoom,
No on the
if
resolution.
you- Zoom, please do so as well.
I think I'm just voted twice. I think I voted both ways.
Change your vote, yes for the resolution.
I voted yes for the resolution. And then yes for the resolution.
Change your vote. Change your vote. Yes for the resolution, no one opposed to it. Okay, no on the resolution. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I see 13, 14. Okay, so it passes 21 to 15. Okay, so that's our thing on this. How many people think about? What? Pass no with additional.
Oh, we passed it.
We passed it. Okay, so we're gonna move the agenda, so we got almost all the ones we wanted to do, and the others we're gonna have to save, because our hour on this is up. So we're gonna now move to adoption of the agenda. Is there a second? I move. No, we're moving on, we're adopting the agenda. Anyone opposed to adopting the agenda?
January, is that the point?
Yeah, we're gonna pick up the rest in January. So the rest of City of Yes for Economic Opportunity, we will take up in January and possibly, adoption of the prior meeting's minutes. Is there a motion to do that?
Motion to approve.
Second? Yes.
Second.
Anyone opposed? No. Let's go to the borough president's reports. Nina is on.
Everybody there?
Is somebody here from the borough president's office?
They got scared away.
They probably all left.
All right, no one is here from the borough president's office. Going once, going twice.
Okay, next we are gonna go to elected official reports. So if you are here to give an elected official report, if you're in person, please line up at the podium. If you are on Zoom, please raise your Zoom, emote hand. And we're gonna start with the in-person folks, and we'll start with Whitney Ferris. You will each have 2 minutes. Here's the mic, here, pass it.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Courtney Pharisee, representing the office of Assemblymember Rebecca Seawright. We're getting ready for the legislative session in January, and on Tuesday, December 19th at Hunter College, we're holding a hearing on the lack of workforce for people with disabilities. As chair of the Committee on People with Disabilities, Assemblymember Seawright has called for this hearing to address the chronic and severe staffing shortages throughout the state. The hearing will inform our work this session ahead. You're all invited to our holiday open house, December 21st, from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. at the district community office. We're also holding a toy drive, so please consider donating. The collection site is also at our district office. And please always consider our office a resource. You can call us at 212-288-4607 or email cwright@nyassembly.com. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. It's great to be with you in person. My name is Julie Mayenza. I'm the Community Engagement Coordinator for the Upper East Side and the Upper West Side for the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. I had a conflict with this meeting last month, so I was more than able to make it. My colleague Liz joined on Zoom, and I believe made this announcement, but I think it's really important to reiterate it and to really reaffirm it today in person, the District Attorney's commitment to combating hate crimes in Manhattan. The past few months, as you know, there's been a terrifying increase in hate crimes, especially against our Jewish and Muslim neighbors. And DA Bragg stood alongside our partners, Assemblymember Grace Lee and State Senator Brad Hoyland Siegel, to announce the Hate Crimes Modernization Act, which will make it easier for us to prosecute hate crimes by increasing the number of hate crimes eligible charges from 66 to 97. That would close common sense loopholes such as now you can charge assault as a hate crime, but you can't charge group assault as a hate crime. So this would close that. That's one example, which would really help us to kind of give us more tools in our toolbox to combat hate crimes. And this has to change to hold perpetrators accountable and to get justice for victims. I also wanted to announce the opening of our application for our high school summer internship program. This is a paid internship for 5 weeks. It's a really fantastic opportunity. If you know any young people who are interested, I would urge them to visit our website. You can contact me for more information. I'm happy to give out my card or to talk to you more. I was able to be a supervisor last summer, and it's a really fantastic opportunity where kids get to learn a lot about the criminal justice system. My email is maenzaj@danny.nyc.gov, maenzaj@danny.nyc.gov. I'm happy to talk more with anybody, and I'm glad to be here. Have a great rest of your meeting.
Thank you. We're gonna go to Zoom and I'm gonna have Will read off the.
Okay, Hannah, you're up first. 2 minutes on the clock.
Hi, everyone. I'm Hannah Wienerman from Congressman Jerry Nather's office. So first, I want to acknowledge that 1 year ago today, President Biden signed the Respect for Marriage Act into law. This was sponsored by Congressman Nather, and he did a lot of work around this law. So this historic legislation protects the rights of same-sex and interracial couples to marry whom they love. Congressman Nather, along with Congressmembers Dan Goldman and Jamie Raskin, introduced a resolution to commit Congress to implementing the U.S. national strategy to counter anti-Semitism, to counter the alarming rise in anti-Semitic hate crimes across the country and even here in New York City. The resolution calls on Congress to fully implement the national strategy on anti-Semitism and Republicans' defunding of the Education Department's Office of Civil Rights for Title VI enforcement to protect Jewish students and increase funding for the high-risk nonprofit grant program to secure Jewish institutions. Additionally, Congressman Nather signed onto a letter led by Congresswoman Kathy Manning and I think it's like 12 other Democrats to the university boards of Harvard, MIT, and Penn for a review of their codes of conduct to ensure Jewish students are safe after their respective president's testimony in front of the House Committee on Education and Workforce. The letter also asks universities to detail what action steps are being taken to combat anti-Semitism and to ensure that Jewish and Israeli students, teachers, and faculty are safe on their campuses. I will acknowledge that there was a vote earlier today to start an impeachment inquiry against President Biden. So today's Congressman Nather said that today's vote by House Republicans to launch a baseless impeachment inquiry into President Biden is yet another attempt to distract from their failure to govern. Instead of working towards solutions for Americans and issues that matter, they're doubling down on conspiracy theories that they've been trafficking in for months. The House GOP is prepared to waste millions of tax dollars to smear President Biden with zero evidence to back up their claims. So I know it's a late meeting. I want to thank you for having me. Happy holidays, and we will miss you, Russell. Thank you for all your work. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Next, we have Brian McNamara.
All righty, am I unmuted?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yes.
All right. Thanks, folks. All right. Thank you so much for having me. I'm going to make this as quick as possible. I know we're got a late evening. We're getting towards the holidays. So first off, just want to say to everyone in the room, on behalf of the Assembly member and all of Team Boris, happy holidays. For those celebrating Hanukkah right now, Chag Sameach. We've got Merry Christmas coming up and a New Year as well before we'll see you next. So just some quick updates from our office. Assemblymember Boris just had the 5th of 6 bills that he's passed through the legislature this past session, signed into law by the governor. The most recent bill addresses the shortage of optometrists statewide, which is a piece of legislation that the Assembly has been trying to pass for over a decade now. Without much success. We came in the first year of office, we passed it into law. We have one more bill waiting for the governor's signature, which just went to her desk today. We'll have more updates on that later, but that legislation will add 20 new judgeships. So 20 new judges across New York City and New York State. Again, more on that in our next update. But just wanted to say as well that the Assembly member has been hard at work as the first Democrat elected in New York State with a degree in computer science. He has been hard at work shaping AI policy in the legislature, and there'll be more on that this session. Happy to answer any questions on that going forward. But for more updates, please, if you have not already, subscribe to the Assembly members' monthly newsletter from the Assembly and would like to. You can send an email to brian@alexboris.nyc. That is BRYAN @alexboris.nyc. And last but not least, congratulations to Valerie Mason, our new chair. And as well, thank you to Russell for your tireless efforts in the community. We really appreciate all the work you've done on this board.
Next, we have Isaac.
Hi everyone. Good evening. I'm filling in for Jesse today and representing Councilmember Powers. First of all, we just wanted to.
I'm very sorry to interrupt you, but Councilmember Powers gave us the report, so I don't mean to cut you off, but I need it. Next.
Summer. Go ahead, Summer.
Everybody, my name's Summer. I'm from Senator Serrano's office. I don't really have much for you tonight. Our office is participating in a coat drive right now with New York Cares. Thank you to everybody who's already donated coats. We have gotten so many more donations than we ever thought we would, so that's been really exciting. We are collecting them through next Friday, December 22nd. So if you have any used coats that you'd like to donate, it goes to a good cause. You can drop them off at our office, just right at our front door. We are going to have 2 offsite constituent hours that are just outside of CB8, but pretty close. On Friday from 11 to 2 at Franklin Plaza, and then next Tuesday, also from 11 to 2 at the Gaylord White Older Adult Center. If there's anything that our office can assist you with or anything you have questions about, feel free to stop by one of those. If you can't make it there, you can stop by our office at any time, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Thanks.
And Summer, would you email me a flyer for that drive that you guys are doing?
Yes, I can grab that for you.
And we have Harry from Councilman Men's office.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Happy holidays from our office to yours. I'd first like to mention, I know you're all at the Stanley Isaac Center tonight. Unfortunately, due to redistricting come January 1st, our office is losing the northernmost and southernmost part of our district. That includes El Barrio and the Stanley Isaac Center and Lex houses to the north and Sutton Place area to the south. We will continue to be partners and advocates for these areas, and encourage constituents to come to us for any of their needs as we have in the past. We're very excited. December 19th will be the unveiling of the East Midtown Greenway, so that's very exciting. The time for that is TBD. We'll be happy to share once we learn more. The council members hard at work opposing the mayor's cuts to vital agencies and needs. In addition to pointing out the fact that there are tens of millions of dollars being wasted by many providers for the migrant crisis, being no bid contracts, and we're pushing to change that policy. We'd like to congratulate Valerie Mason, and we know that she will continue her great work and do a great job being our partner here at CB8. And thank you, Russell, for being a great friend and partner to our office. And we're sure that we'll do a lot more work with you going forward. So thank you all and happy holidays.
Thank you.
And that's the last call.
All right, so we will move to the chair's report, and I'm usually pretty brief. I know we're getting late, but I hope you guys will just indulge me here because it's my last full board meeting as chair. So I just want to take the opportunity to say that it's been a great privilege to be the chair of CB8 for the last 3 years. You all know that the work that we do is important. We deal with important issues, and I think we really serve a very valuable role as a voice for our community. And in the course of the last 3 years, not everything's gone our way, but we have had a number of successes that I'm proud of. And a non-exhaustive sample is redistricting, I think, was very successful. The Rupert Park redesign, our efforts with regard to other parks. Our art programming that we have launched and has now been going strong for several years. Improvements that we've been able to get at Fuller Hospital, Roosevelt Island, and most recently taking the first steps towards real action to get more affordable housing in our district. So I think these are accomplishments that the whole board should be proud of, but also I just want to say that. And I really attribute these accomplishments to the excellence of our board. All of you, the strength of our board, I think, really is in the intelligence of our members, the common sense and judgment that we have, the subject matter expertise that so many of us have on so many critical and frankly difficult and complicated issues, and most importantly, the dedication that everybody on this board shows week in, week out, month in, month out, and year in, year out. So I just, because of the excellence of this board, it really has been an honor to be the chair over the last few years. And so I have to say thank you very much for that. Valerie, I will quote John Adams and say, now I am fairly out. and you were fairly in. I'll see which of us will be the happiest. The board really is in good hands with you next year and all the officers who are gonna be coming in. And you know, I'm still gonna be a member. I'm not going anywhere, and so I will certainly be available to you as a resource if you need it, just the same way that the other former board chairs have been a really tremendous resource for me, and not just them, but so many other members of this board who I could not have done this without you. So thank you to many of you.
Yeah.
And more of you than I can name individually, but really for all your help in the course of the last few years. So, you know, and I'll just say, I'm not one to make predictions, but my prediction for 2024 is that I will have a lot more time on my hands than you, Valerie. And I just have to also thank Will and the staff. You guys are excellent. Fantastic partner in government and with all that we do on the board, and you guys really do a great job, and we all know that and appreciate it, but I want to take the opportunity to say thank you, and you've been a huge help to me in the course of doing this. And again, I couldn't have done it without you, so thank you. So, with that, again, I just have nothing but gratitude really for all of you for this opportunity and this privilege and this honor. So, thank you, and again, I'm looking forward to continuing to work with you as just a regular member of the board. So, thank you.
Is it my report?
Yes.
Okay, that's hard to follow, and thank you for the very kind words. I'll echo what everyone has said. 3 great years, and we really appreciate all that you've done and the hard work that you've put in. I always tell people, it is the worst job in politics to be a community board chair because you get paid 0 and you have to work basically a full-time job. So plaudits and thank yous for just being such a great partner over the last 3 years. And I will remind you that all of our board members have to join at least 2 committees, so we need you to join some committees. And then with that, I don't really have a full report, so I'll just say happy holidays, and thank you to Isaacs and Goddard for letting us use their space.
All right, let's go to the committee reports and action items. We're going to start with the Streetlight Committee and Abraham.
Okay, good evening, everyone. So for Streetlight, we have 8 unanimous approvals. 7 of these were all of the liquor licenses, and then 5A, which was a resolution calling on enforcement of the illegal cannabis shops that are in our community. Chuck?
I'd like to call a question on all unanimous.
Okay, is anyone opposed to take all of the unanimous together?
So unanimous approvals or unanimous?
All the unanimous approvals.
Right.
So this would be 1, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and 5A. Okay, can we call the roll? Or if there's no,
We just take them all as a,
Yeah.
they're.
anyone voting no?
I don't see anybody on Zoom. Is everybody in there?
So it's unanimous, so it's kind of.
Okay.
And I'll just remind everybody on Zoom that you have to have your camera on to be counted as present. So you were not counted for any votes that your camera is on.
Okay, next we had 1 unanimous disapproval. This was item 2F. And this was the York Express 501 East 86th Street. Rebecca?
Second.
Okay, is anyone opposed to calling the question? Okay, let's call the question. Is anyone voting no?
So is this a no vote?
This is the disapproval, yes, this was the one on 86th and York, close to the park.
This is not the one.
Okay. Now we have the non-unanimous approvals. So we have 2A, 2D, and 2E. They're non-unanimous, so we can't take them together. So we have, first one is 2A. And 2A was the venue on Weedish, 128 East 86th Street, and this was approved 6-3-1. Chuck?
Call the question.
Okay, is anyone opposed calling the question? Okay, so then let's call the roll on 2A. This was a non-unanimous approval.
So the motion is to approve.
Okay, Elizabeth. Ashley.
Yes.
Birnbaum.
This is a no, correct?
This is a yes. Yeah. These are approvals.
Sorry, no.
Forrest.
Yes.
Camp.
Yes.
Chu.
Yeah.
Cone.
Yes.
Coleman.
Yes.
Cormac.
Yes.
Dangor.
Yeah.
Barber, yes. Freeland.
Yes.
Hartsog.
Yes.
Hershenson. Halpern.
Yes.
Hussein.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yeah.
Brickler.
Yes.
Later.
Yes.
Lev.
Yes.
Mason.
Just a question, was this the one I abstained on?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I'm voting yes.
McClement.
Yes.
Meyerson.
Yes.
Marshall.
No.
Hope Marshall.
Yes.
Hopper.
Yes.
Price.
No.
Elizabeth Rose.
Yes.
Rudder.
Yes.
Salcedo.
Yes.
Sanchez.
Yes.
Sasson.
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
Seligson.
No.
Squire.
Yes.
Mayo.
No.
Chuck.
Yes.
Wiener.
State.
Okay, that passes 31 to, oh, I'm sorry.
Angelos.
Anderson
No.
and Angelos.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So that passes 32 to 6 with one abstention.
Okay, the next item is 2D as in David. This was Brooks 799 at 799 Lexington. This was approved by a vote of 6-3. Chuck?
Call the question.
Is it an approval?
This is an approval. This was approved 6-3.
2D like David?
2D as in David.
Call the question.
2D. So,
But then there was another.
that this approval did not pass, then there was a motion to approve, which passed 6-3. Okay, so we have,
Call the question.
okay, anyone opposed calling the question? Okay, in that case, this is a motion to approve, please call the roll.
All right, Anderson.
No.
Angelos.
Yes.
Ashby.
Yes.
Birnbaum.
No.
Flores.
Yes.
Camp.
Yes.
Chu.
Point of information, this is a motion to approve 2B.
D as in David.
Cone.
Yes.
Coleman.
Yes.
Cormac.
Yes.
Dangor.
Yes.
Farber.
Yes.
Freeland.
Yes.
Hartsog.
Yes.
Hershenson.
Yeah.
Halpern.
Yes.
Hussein.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Crickler.
Yes.
Later.
Yes.
Lev. Yes. Mason.
No.
McClement.
Yeah.
Meyerson.
Yes.
Partial.
No.
Hope Marshall.
Yes.
Popper.
Yes.
Price.
No.
Rose.
Yes.
Rudder.
Yes.
Salcedo.
Yes.
Sanchez.
Yes.
Sasson.
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
Seligson. No. Squire.
Yes.
Tamayo.
No.
Warren.
Yes.
Wiener.
No.
Great, so the resolution passes 31 yes, 8 no's.
Okay, the last one in our non-unanimous approvals is 2E as in Edward, 1140 First Avenue, and this passed 5-3-1. Chuck?
Call the question.
Approval or disapproval?
This is an approval, or two E is an approval.
Call the question.
Second, okay. All right, so we have a call the question second. Does anyone oppose calling the question? Okay, seeing none, then let's call the roll on two E.
Anderson. No. Angelos.
No.
Ashby.
Yes.
Birnbaum.
No.
Torres.
Yes.
Ham.
Yes.
Shu.
Yes.
Cone.
Yes.
Coleman.
Yes.
Cormac.
Yes.
Dangor.
Yes.
Barber. Yes. Freeland.
Yes.
Hartsock.
Yes.
Hersonson.
Yes.
Halpern.
Yes.
Hussein.
Yes.
Johnson. Prickler.
Yes.
Later.
Yes.
Lev.
Yes.
Mason.
Yes, please see.
So,
E and C are coming up.
McClement.
Yes. And we already did it.
Meyerson.
Yes.
Marshall.
No.
Pope Marshall.
Sorry.
Yes.
Hopper. I'm sorry, was that no?
no.
Thank you. Price.
No.
Elizabeth Rose.
Yes.
Barbara Rudder.
Yes.
Salcedo.
Yes.
Sanchez.
Yes.
Sasan.
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
Seligson. No. Squire.
Yes.
Tamayo.
No.
Moran.
Yes.
Weiner.
No.
Okay, the motion passes 29-9.
And me, because I passed.
Oh,
No.
sorry,
That's okay, no, thanks for you.
you're a no, okay? So the motion passed, 29-10.
Okay, now we have the non-unanimous disapprovals. This is two B and two C. We'll take them separately. These are the applications that had the information in your packet and that members of the representatives in the public session spoke about. So first we have two B. Elizabeth?
Point of information. Can you explain how the location is technically compliant? On my Google Maps, it appears to be on the same block, on the same side of the street.
Because it is not used as exclusive use as a school. In the information package provided by the applicant, the C of O in for that location has other uses in the premises. Therefore, under the law, it has to be exclusive use as a school for the footage to be applicable. So it is compliant with the distance requirements under OCM regulations. Addison?
I was gonna call the question, but if there's further debate.
Robin?
Thank you, Adrian. Would there be any value in describing to the neighbor, the next door neighbor?
You may speak to your vote and what you took into consideration if you like, yes.
Just the fact that there is I'm sorry, I'm speaking.
Robin.
It's Robin. Hi.
Robin here.
Or just stand up. I think you're pretty close to being loud enough.
Thank you. There was a rather eloquent plea made that evening by a woman who's the manager of I think it was a drug rehab center, is that right?
Yeah.
So a lot of us felt that the location of this particular cannabis shop should not be right next door to the drug rehab facility.
We're talking about 119 falls in ordinance.
Right.
Chuck?
Look, these locations, it seems to me there's two applicants. There's two applicants for the same location, right? I'm personally against all of this stuff, but however, it seems to me we have all these illegal, and the reason I vote for these things is that we need to get rid of all this illegal stuff. And the only reason you're gonna get rid of that is to have legal ones. And if both of these applicants are the same location, and the location meets all the requirements, and we have neighbors who spoke in favor of it. And so I support approving this, and I don't think there's a real justification for, and then a drug rehab place is not one of the things that say, and if they're in drug rehab, they're not, I assume, they're not gonna be allowed to buy in the shop, and this is a high-end shop, that's what they're talking about. They're talking about a particular way it's been operated, and it seems to me it makes sense to go ahead with this.
Thank you, Chuck. Russell, and then Sarah and Rebecca.
So to the point about the rehabilitation facility, I think this is addressed pretty effectively in the submission that they got regarding the rehabilitation facility. So in order to be a patient in the facility, you have to surrender your ID, which means that it's not possible for you to show ID at a legal cannabis store and obtain cannabis. So that, I think, addresses that concern pretty effectively. And the other points in there about the fact that they're gonna have a reservation-only entrance policy, to me, indicates that you're not gonna have kids there. I think the fact that it's a very high-end concept, that's basically gonna be a very fancy store, it's not the kind of place that kids are gonna be able to sneak into, not to mention all the stuff that they talk about in terms of the security that they're gonna have. So, I understand the concerns that many people have about schools and proximity, but to me, this applicant, I think, is particularly not a concern in that regard because of the nature of this facility and the type of store they're in. So that's why I voted the way.
Thanks, Rob. Sarah?
Abraham, I have a question. How are two stores co-located? How does that work?
It's two applicants, they're applying for the same location. So again, under the OCM regulation, the multiple applicants can apply for a venue. There will be a lottery under the OCM. It's possible one gets it, not both will get it, and it's possible none of them get the license for the location, but applicants are allowed to apply for the same location. Michelle?
Yeah, I just want to make the point, I'm not going to change anybody's mind, I'm not trying to. But I just want to make the point that it's really not necessarily true that if you approve legal stores, that will hamper illegal, that you'll have less illegal. That's not true. There's an endless number of locations. There's an endless number of stores that are vacant. And the illegal part of any industry always finds a way to infiltrate. So if that's your only reason, because you think it's inevitable, I think it's a false premise. That's all. Thank you.
Let's go to Valerie on the Zoom, and then I'll go to Elizabeth.
I just have a question. These are supposed to be operated like ABC stores that sell liquor. So you're not going to be allowed to look in them, and the signage is going to be limited. I don't understand what you mean when the people come before us and they say they're quote unquote high end. Does that mean they're just going to charge more for the same product that the illegal ones are charging down the street? I'm just curious. I mean, this is all licensed by the state. So do they also regulate the prices as well? Because I'm not sure why we care whether it's high end. You're not going to, according to the rules, you're not going to be able to look into their store really. They have to have the security, correct? You have to be checking the ID. So I don't know, like branding or, selling high-end luxury goods or whatever it is, why that is significant and why that would really impact the other aspects of it. So it's just a question. Does anybody know? Because I haven't seen that in the regs at all. So it's not like the signage is going to be better because it's high end. It's still going to be frosted glass or, whatever. But if somebody knows that, I'm just curious.
Thank you. Elizabeth, and then I'll go back to Zoom.
The answer to the question is there are different products. There are different levels.
And their environments.
Right.
It's different retail
Okay,
environment.
but to the point of the illegal shops, if what's behind the legal one is 25 or whatever the price is, and the illegal one is cheaper, the illegal one is not gonna go away.
Point of information.
So.
Unless you can speak to that.
Speaking to what I raised my hand. I am inferring that this was disapproved because of the concern about the school, and that even though the site is technically compliant, that people who voted against this did so largely because of the school. I could be incorrect, but that is my inference. So to that, I would like to say, the All Children's School is a nursery school. It serves children up to age 5 or 6. There is nothing about this location that the children are going to topple over to this retail environment to try to partake. And this group has approved a site that is technically in compliance, that is down the block from the Julia Richmond Education Complex, which houses 4 high schools.
I'm sorry, which, I thought we were talking about East 60th Street.
We are.
Yes, we are.
Well, isn't that
And
next to
so what I'm
the
saying is I'm
rehab
creating,
center?
Yes.
I'm creating a parallel here. We approve a site that is technically compliant, that is down the block, an applicant for a site that is technically compliant, that is down the block from a large complex of high schools that serves middle and high school students predominantly. There is also an elementary school there. If we are approving that site that is technically in compliance and that is a block, less than a block from Julia Richmond, I think we can approve a site that is technically in compliance, that is down the block from a school where the children, there is no way they are going to this retail establishment. So I am actually speaking in favor of approval, much to my surprise.
Point of information.
Yes, for sure.
When you talk about signage, the regulations talk to exterior signage, but usually they don't speak to interior signage. So you can have signage on the inside of your window. There's no control that I know. Is there any control?
It's
on the
that's
exterior?
signage, that's
Visibility, it's not just.
Oh, it
about
says.
visibility,
it
yeah.
says- Oh, okay, all right. That's my question.
Rebecca?
No, not yet. Not yet.
John?
Wait a second, don't call the question, because I'd like to make a motion, resolution. We need a substitute resolution, this is a motion to disapprove. I want to make, if seconded, I want to make a resolution, substantive resolution to approve.
Second.
Okay,
Question.
now that's on the floor now. That's why we,
Now.
yeah, you can call the question now.
Okay, Rebecca calls a question on the substitute.
Do you have a question, Alita?
Is that okay? Does an approval or a license from the state travel with the storefront, or does each, no, it's each applicant that has to apply?
Each applicant in each location.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
so now the question is,
So the question has been called on the substitute resolution to approve this application
Too big.
to be. Okay, let's go to the roll on the substitute resolution for approval. Yes is a yes.
Anderson. No. Angelos.
Yes.
Ashby.
Pass.
Pass. Birnbaum.
No.
Boris.
Yes.
Camp.
Yes.
Chu.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Coleman.
Yes.
Didn't Mike's.
Cormac.
Pass.
Dangor.
No.
Barber.
Yes.
Freeland.
Yes.
Hartzog.
Either
Hershenson.
Yes.
Halpern.
No.
Hussein.
No.
Johnson.
Yes.
Crickler.
Yes.
Later.
Yes.
Lev, yes. Mason.
No.
McClement.
Yes.
Meyerson.
No.
Partial. No.
Marshall. Clerk Marshall,
Yes.
Hopper,
No.
Price,
No.
Rose,
Yes.
Rudder,
Yes.
Salcedo,
Say,
Sanchez,
yes.
Sassen,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Seligson. No. Squire,
Yes.
Tamayo,
No.
Warren,
Yes.
Weiner,
Yes.
and then going to the passes, Ashby,
No.
and Cormac.
No.
Alrighty, the resolution passes 23 yes, 14 no's. And one abstention.
Okay, now we have 2C, which is virtually the same application, just different applicant, same concept. Chuck.
I'd like to make a substitute motion to approve.
Second.
Same situation.
Okay, Rebecca? Okay, question has been called on the substitute resolution on 2C for an approval.
Anderson. No. Angelos.
Yeah.
Ashby. Ashby.
Pass.
Birnbaum.
No.
Flores.
Yes.
Camp.
Yeah.
Shu.
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Coleman.
Yeah.
Cormac.
No.
Dangor. Barber, yes. Freeland.
Pass.
Hartzog.
Yes.
Hershenson.
Yes.
Halpern.
No.
Hussein.
No.
Johnson.
Yes.
Prickler.
Yes.
Later.
Yes.
Lev.
Yes.
Mason.
No.
Clement.
Yes.
Meyerson.
No.
Marshall.
No.
Hope Marshall.
Yes.
Hopper.
No.
Price.
No.
Elizabeth Rose.
Yes.
Rudder.
Yes.
Salcedo.
Abstain.
Sanchez.
Yes.
Sasan.
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
Saligson.
No.
Squire.
Yes.
Tamayo.
No.
Warren.
Yes.
Weiner.
Yes.
Okay, this passes 23 yes.
No, you have a
13.
couple
Oh,
passes.
sorry. Ashby.
No.
Freeland.
Yes.
Okay, it passes 24.
All right, only 5 more applications to go.
No.
Just kidding. Thank you very much.
All right.
That was a unanimous decision.
Okay, we had 2 resolutions, the first one, I wouldn't say 2 resolutions, 1 resolution. The first one, we had no position because with the no's and abstention, no's and abstention, we ended up, having no position to, and this was, I want to just take a minute to explain, what it is. This is a revocable consent for a fence and plantings that extends beyond the property line. It's a 3-foot high fence. And it does meet all the requirements of the Department of Transportation, but there were concerns in the committee on a number of reasons, and I know Alita wants to elucidate those and want to give her the first opportunity to do that.
Thank you.
So I want to know, because the property
it's three houses that are now connected as one, and they're all different, and two of the houses are no longer where they were historically, they've been moved to the property line. So the property owner wants it both ways, they want a fence based on the history of the fence, but they don't want the house at the property line. I don't think they should have a fence and encroach onto the sidewalk, leaving barely more than 5 feet between the edge of the property and a tree pit that has not been expanded is the original tiny size, little more than 5 feet, plus that it is not a contiguous fence and aligned with all of the other fences on the block is irrelevant, because if you walk down any street on the Upper East Side, there are gaps in the fences. The applicant's representative kept referring to a gap in the teeth, but that is how most blocks look. There is never a single block with a fence that runs from Madison to Fifth or Lexington to Park that is all in line, so it doesn't really matter that the fence is not contiguous, and it's a property owner who's taking up our public cherished sidewalk space for their own good, and it feels entirely unnecessary and encroaching on the public way. Thank you very much.
Yes, and I think the position that of the people who were in favor of it was the fact that it does line up with the rest of the block, number one, and number two, it meets all the requirements of the revocable consent. And the city has put in a process and they allow revocable consents, and so those who supported it say, hey, if it's allowed, then we shouldn't try to disapprove it on other grounds. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just want to say that the fact that it's permitted, in my mind, should not be a rationale. A lot of things come before this board in all different committees that are permitted, and that's the purpose of this board, is to evaluate it and make a decision as to whether or not it's right for our neighborhood and our community. And if we had to approve things just because the person next door had it, then in many times you're just multiplying along. So I don't think that the fact that it's permitted is a factor in this decision, but the fact that it's encroaching very significantly on the public way, and the fact that it's beyond the property line. One of the buildings, it's on their property line because they are recessed as these other two of the three buildings used to be, but are no longer. So I just don't think that that's
Okay,
an
I
appropriate.
don't want to take
reason.
too much time on this, because,
I will say theoretically, we were getting kicked out at 9:30.
oh, okay.
And I just
So
wanna,
that-
and if I could just add this one little detail,
Yeah.
which is, I think if we wanna be taken seriously by the DOT when we come back to them with our resolutions regarding revocable consents, I think if we're going to be constantly coming back with opposition to them just on the grounds that we oppose the concept of revocable consents, then the times where we have real legitimate concerns about them are not necessarily going to be looked at and taken as seriously as if we are more discriminate in terms of how we
I
look
don't
at it.
believe
That's
that to
just,
be true.
that's just a concern that I think I have in terms
Oh,
of.
we don't have any resolution, so unless someone wants, you want to make a resolution, you go ahead.
I want to make a resolution to disapprove.
Second,
Okay. So, should we call a question on that? Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, anyone object to calling the question? Okay, I think we should call a roll.
Yes, it's okay.
Anderson,
Yes.
Angelos, Ashby,
No.
Birnbaum,
yes,
Flores,
Abstain.
Camp,
Yes.
Chu,
Abstain, actually pass.
I have a bet that we'll get out earlier, so let's move it along.
Cohen,
Yes, fixers.
Coleman,
Yes.
Cormac,
Yes.
Dangor,
No.
Barber, no. Freeland,
No.
Hartzog,
Yes.
Hershenson,
No.
Halpern,
No.
Hussein,
No.
Johnson, Crickler,
No.
Later,
No.
left, Mason,
No.
McClement,
No.
Meyerson,
Yes.
Marshall,
No.
Pope Marshall. Pope Marshall?
You can pass.
Karen?
Pass.
Okay, Popper,
Sorry.
No.
Price,
No.
Elizabeth Rose,
Yes.
Rudder,
Yes.
Salcedo,
Yes.
Sanchez,
No.
Hassan left,
He's here.
oh, sorry,
Yes.
my apologies. Schneider,
No.
Seligson,
Yes.
Squire,
Yeah.
Tamayo,
No.
Warren,
No.
Weiner.
Yes.
Okay, and let's see, Levin's gone, Pope Marshall,
We can't hear you.
We can't do.
There you go. Now,
Can you hear me?
yeah.
what was it?
She's deciding.
I apologize. So this is a motion to.
To disapprove.
So I say no.
Okay, and, Wilma Johnson? Chu,
Yes.
okay, and it's 15 yes, 22 no, and 1 abstention.
All right, Rebecca?
I move I propose a resolution, approve it.
Can't hear you, Rebecca.
Motion to approve.
Is there a
Is
second?
he on the next item?
There's a second?
Same item. This is the
Okay.
resolution to
Can we-
disapprove failed, so now it's a motion.
Right, it's the motion, can we call a question on that?
Oh, I see.
Call the
Question.
Okay, why don't we call the roll on motion to approve?
Just don't know.
Again.
Yes, let's not, let's move.
Can we just flip the numbers and?
Doesn't work that way.
Okay, so this is approving the.
Right, the revocable consent,
This
right,
is approving the
right,
revocable.
right. Okay.
Okay. Anderson.
Yes.
Angelos. Ashby,
Yes.
Birnbaum,
No.
Guerrero, Boris,
Yes.
Camp,
No.
Chu.
Abstain.
No, actually abstained. Coleman,
Yes.
Cormac,
No.
Dangor, Barber, yes. Herzog,
Abstain.
Hershenson.
Yeah.
Did I miss Billy?
Is this the
daylighting resolution?
This is the approve the revocable consent.
Revocable consent approval.
Oh, to approve it, I voted no earlier. I'm no.
Okay,
Hershenson,
I'm sorry, you can't post the votes.
is it yes? Halpern,
Yes.
Hussein,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Prickler,
Yes.
Later,
Yes.
Mason,
No.
McClement,
Yes.
Meyerson,
No.
Marshall,
Yeah, yes.
Pope Marshall,
sorry, Clerk Marshall?
Yep.
Yes.
Hopper.
Hopper,
Yes.
Price. Yes. Elizabeth Rose. No. Barbara Rutter.
No.
Salcedo.
Consistency, no.
Sanchez.
Yes.
says,
Yeah. Sasan.
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
Allison. Squire.
Yes.
Tamayo.
Yes.
Warren.
Yes.
Weiner.
No.
And the motion passes 24 to 12 to 2. Did it, anyone pass? Got everybody. Okay.
We have one more, we'll put,
Yeah.
Right, this is the daylighting resolution, which passed unanimously with one abstention. So again, daylighting quickly, it's basically a measure that allows pedestrians to be more visible to oncoming traffic by removing obstructions in the vicinity of crosswalks. And that is meant to enhance pedestrian safety, given that most crashes that occur in intersections themselves. And this is also being done or requested because New York State actually has a law that requires daylighting within 20 feet of intersections. But that is one of those laws that has an exemption for cities with more than 1 million residents. So the idea of this resolution was to essentially request that New York City DOT follow the state guidelines at intersections in regards to daylighting, install curb extensions or daylighting at all intersections in the city, starting with those within a 1 block radius of any school, senior center, or facilities for persons with disabilities.
At the risk of starting a too long a discussion, but go ahead, Alita.
I have a question. What about restaurant sheds that abut the corners of the intersections?
Yeah, you know, you'd have to get rid of some of those, they're supposed to get rid of those anyway.
Well, only for some of the year, but are they allowed to be there in the roadway next to a?
I don't think, no, they're not allowed.
Under the daylighting laws of the state, they
No.
would not.
No, they
Okay,
won't.
so it includes everything.
Covered it,
Thank you.
yeah, go ahead. Let me see, Abraham. Second, okay. Anybody object?
I'm opposed to calling the question.
You're opposed, okay. Okay, all right. Well, so, yes,
I'd like to speak in favor of.
does anyone want to decide, Paul?
I wanted to speak against it, so that's why I was opposed to calling the question.
Oh, okay, you want to speak? Well, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'll be very quick, but if you look at the presentation, in all the descriptions of the terrible status quo, they have cars parked into the crosswalk. That's not an accurate reflection, that's illegal, you're not allowed to park in the crosswalk. To me, you have to show cars parked in the crosswalk to show why this is necessary. I don't think that paints an accurate picture of what the status quo is, it's a separate issue, and I don't think it's right to, but that's one point. Number two, when I was a kid, I was told not to stand on the edge of the corner. Because a car turning could jump the corner, could jump the curb, and it's dangerous. I don't think it makes any sense to extend the curb into the street on the grounds of trying to make it safer. To me, that makes it more dangerous. You're pulling people out into the street where they're turning, and it makes it more dangerous.
That's
I don't think, that's what, if you look at the designs that they're suggesting, for the right way to do this, what they want to do is, at the end of the curve, at the end of the intersection, have this jut out thing of the curve juts out into the street and blocks the lane, which, by the way, also makes it extremely difficult if you're parked there to just pull out in a normal way. I think there are many instances where New York City has different laws from other smaller cities around the state. I don't think that's a problem. So for those reasons, I don't.
If I could just respond to that quickly. First of all, the narrowing of intersections, that's the centerpiece of what we call traffic calming, and it's meant to help make sure that cars are slowing down as you're approaching intersections. And the daylighting resolution, in fact, the approach to daylighting would be to eventually have more permanent materials in place to make it even more protected to pedestrians doing that. So we have like all sorts of examples of curb extensions and neck downs, like the 30th Avenue and 86th Street, for example. And so where some of the bus stops are. And in terms of how the presentation, they were doing that to highlight, yes, cars are not supposed to park in crosswalks, but they do. And even if you're close to a crosswalk, you still have the visibility issue, and they're showing how when you have the limited visibility, that's where pedestrians are in danger, and that's why they showed it, depicted it as they did in the presentation.
Let me just make one point here, that's a fact. There's a law that's been passed in New York City. Now, there's a state law that says you have to have daylighting, and it accepted cities of 1 million or more, which is New York City. But New York, it did. That law says starting in 2025, you have to have this.
So what are we approving?
We're approving something that we want to see get into effect even earlier.
Right, and the New York City law, the New York City law. The New York City law is only going to require 100 intersections per year to be daylighted. And there are 47,000 intersections in New York City, so that is a drop in the bucket.
Yeah, we want it to move quicker, essentially. Yes. Paul, yes. Paul.
I'd like to speak in favor of this resolution. Firstly, from you, Russell, if you're looking for a committee to join, please feel free to join us, but I don't need more ladies. There are 3 numbers I want to give you why I plead with the members in support to vote yes to this resolution. Those numbers are 10, 41, and 5,500. 2 months ago, Craig did a run through of the crash data in our community board district. And those numbers again, in the last 10 years, in our district, 41 people have been killed and 5,500 have been injured. That includes at least mandate that puts those people in a better place. Those are broken limbs, there's brain trauma, that's amputations, it's crushed ribs. And the reason I make this point, and I'll make this point again and again and again when it comes to safe streets, is that more than half of all those deaths and all those injuries, those terrible injuries, happen at intersections. There's been countless studies, including in our district, showing that. And so, if I'm going to ask you ever, one time as my fellow board members, to vote for something that will give results and reduce death and maiming, this is it. For example, in Hoboken, we implemented these daylighting of intersections a few years ago, over the last few years, and their Vision Zero has actually come true. They've gone from deaths each year. The first city around here with 0 deaths for 6 straight years. And just to answer one small point for you, Russell, yes, the picture you saw before at the committee was about a car blocking into the actual crosswalk. What we're talking about here is clearing space before that. So, okay, so you do okay. Thank you.
Okay, we probably want to, yes, Elizabeth, go ahead.
Thank you. So effectively, and I think daylighting is great conceptually. I think extending the crosswalks is, extending the curbs is great conceptually. I've appreciated them when I've seen them. 47,000 intersections, assume 6 lost parking spots per intersection for a 3-way intersection, 2 on each side of 3 corners. That's 282,000 lost parking spots across the city. At some point, this city has to start replacing parking. And we continuously remove parking for all sorts of reasons. And I'm not saying that this is a bad reason to remove parking, but if we don't start replacing parking, we are going to have different problems.
And I'd just like to state as a fact, from the presentation, it was, the statistic that was provided was that it would impact less than 0.25% of parking spaces. And it wouldn't necessarily impact 6 parking spaces per intersection, because you wouldn't necessarily have to fully daylight all 4 corners of an intersection. It would really only be the ones in which you have the oncoming traffic, that where you have the cars that are blocking oncoming traffic from seeing pedestrians. On the other side of it.
The resolution is simply overly broad. That if the collective impact of this is just too big without some sort of realism.
Well, that's, just to be clear, that's why I said install curb extensions or daylighting, because curb extensions on their own aren't daylighting. That would essentially only be on the far side of an intersection and wouldn't extend the 20 feet.
So we're not gonna lose many parking spaces, that,
In
and the
which case,
resolution,
I would say we want curb extensions, period.
okay, we understand. That passed the committee 12 to 0 with 1 abstention. Sorry.
Recall question. Second.
Okay, anybody objects? Okay, why don't we call the roll?
Anderson,
Yes.
Angelos. Ashby,
Yes.
Birnbaum,
Abstain.
Flores.
Yes.
Camp,
No.
Chu,
Yes.
Cohen,
No.
Coleman,
Yeah.
Cormac,
Yes.
Dangor.
Yes.
Barber, yes. Freeland,
Yes.
Hartsog. Hershenson. Halpern.
Yes.
Information, because we have this
We can't, we're in the middle of a vote, we can't get appointed information now.
Hussein,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Prickler,
Yes.
Later,
Yes.
Mason,
Yes.
McClement,
Yes.
Meyerson,
Yes.
Marshall,
No.
Pope Marshall,
Absolutely.
Hopper,
Yes.
Price,
Yes.
Rose, Elizabeth,
No.
Rudder,
Yes.
Salcedo,
Yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Sisson, Schneider,
Yes.
Seligson,
Yes.
Squire. Tamayo.
Yes.
Warren.
Yes.
Weiner.
Yes.
And let's see if we pass.
No.
Thank you.
Loomis said no.
And, Ed,
Oh, yes.
okay, the motion passes 31-6 to 1 abstention.
Thank you, everyone. Happy holidays.
Okay, landmarks, please. Jane and David.
These were 2 unanimous resolutions. I don't know, although I had heard there might be a change vote, Alita, on
Yeah.
the first resolution, 935 for an application for a pergola at the second level of a penthouse.
It's too bad we aren't in a venue where they make you really leave at 9:30.
They should.
In any case, Alita, I'll let Alita speak for 2 seconds.
Yeah, 2 seconds, because I was out on Park Avenue and they talked about visibility from the south side of the building and not from the north side, and it is very visible from the north side. Not only the pergola, but the top of the staircase. I don't think they were transparent enough, and it is not visible, and our area is supposed to be, whether it's visible from the public way, and it undoubtedly, to my eyes, could be wrong, it is visible.
Thank you, Alita. Chuck?
I'd like to call the question out,
Stick.
both unanimous?
No, not, I object,
Okay, so I'll call on the first.
because I value.
Okay, we're gonna take a vote on 9:35.
Question on the first one.
Okay, Anderson,
Yes.
Angelos, Ashby,
Is that the one you said is visible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Birnbaum,
No.
Boris,
Yes.
Camp,
No.
Chu. Cohen,
Yes.
Coleman,
Yes.
Cormac,
Yes.
Bangor.
Yes.
Barber, yes. Freeland,
Yes.
Hartsock,
Yes.
Hershenson,
Yeah.
Hussein,
Yes.
I'm sorry, Halpern,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Prickler,
Yes.
Slatter,
Yes.
Mason,
Yes.
McClement,
Yes.
Meyerson.
Yes.
Marshall,
Yeah.
Pope Marshall,
Sorry, that's me.
Okay, sorry, there was a delay in the message coming up to unmute. The answer is yeah, I'm sorry, yes.
thank you. Hopper,
Yes.
Price.
Yes.
Elizabeth Rose,
Yes.
Barbara Rutter,
Yes.
Salcedo,
Yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Sasan,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Seligson,
Yes.
Squire,
Yes.
Tamayo.
Yeah.
Warren.
Yeah.
Weiner.
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes 35-2. Oh, wait, Chu.
Yeah.
6-2.
No.
Call a question on the next unanimous.
Second.
Is there anybody against this? Roughly, maybe you can.
Is anyone going to vote no on this unanimous item? This is
This is not a
item?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so then we don't have to call them. Very good. All right, thank you. Next, Social Justice Committee, Sarah and Sarah.
Greetings all. The Social Justice Committee has one resolution, the NYCHA Family Reentry Program reunites formerly incarcerated individuals with family members. Our resolution is seeking for the expansion of the NYCHA Reentry Program. By expanding this program, more formerly incarcerated individuals will have the opportunity to apply, and if they meet the criteria, be able to return home and resume a life of normalcy. It is a 2-year program with a high success rate of 96% of program participants between 2013 and 2023, which means it works. The support of the NYCHA Family Reentry Program resolution was proposed by Sarah Chu and seconded by Valerie Mason. You need to say it?
Call a question.
Okay. Second.
Is there anybody?
Anyone opposed to calling the question?
No.
No, anybody take it away. Oh, sorry, is anyone going to vote no on this?
I'm gonna say.
Okay, so we have to, so let's call it.
Oh, wait.
We're gonna call it.
Okay, Anderson.
Yes.
Angelos.
Yes.
Ashley.
Yes.
Birnbaum.
Abstain.
Boris.
Yes.
Because it says they.
Camp.
Yes.
Chu.
Yeah.
Cohen.
Yes.
Coleman.
Yes.
Cormac.
Yes.
Dangor.
Sorry.
Barber. Yes. Freeland.
Yes.
Hartsock.
Yes.
Hershenson.
Yes.
Halpern.
Yes.
Hussein.
Yes.
Johnson.
Absolutely no.
Prickler.
Yes.
Later.
Yes.
Left. I was left. I'm sorry, Mason.
Mason, sorry.
Yes.
McClement.
Yes.
Yes.
Myerson. Marshall. Yes. Pope Marshall.
Said yes.
Hopper.
Yes.
Price.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Butter.
Yes.
Salcedo. Sanchez.
Yes.
Hassan.
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
Seligson.
Yes.
Squire.
Yes.
Mayo.
Yes.
Warren.
Yes.
Weiner.
Yes. Okay, yes, it's hard.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so housing committee, Ed.
Get up here. Okay. All right, we have, two resolutions that were unanimous, from last week's meeting. The first one, they're unanimous, but I want to address them real quick. I know it will be 2 minutes, very quickly. One deals with AMI, the other one deals with, I think it's the 421A. We had some new folks at the housing committee meeting, especially our new members of the board. Sahar especially, I think, was especially taken aback by what's going on with housing. Just to recap, we had two good meetings, one with Alicia Wood on November 29th, and then a follow-up on December 4th last week with our assembly member Alex Boris. Just to the staff, he was very, very generous and great. He told us what's going on. My point is, Alicia Boyd came and explained to AMI, and I say bus housing, it really drives the bus as to why we have this vacancy issue, and it's very complicated in a way, and I want to just take a moment, if you guys will indulge me, for 30 seconds, just as to how this works, because I need to walk through it very slowly. So, and there'll be, people will disagree with this, but this is how it was presented in the November meeting by Alicia Boyd, is that we are developers. We are given a subsidy or a tax benefit under 421A and encouraged to build apartments because we need the supply. So we're encouraged as developers, we're given a benefit, we build it. She pointed out, the law does not require us to rent it. We are under no obligation to rent those apartments. We're given money to build them, and we build them all over the place. All you have to do is walk up from my apartment on 3rd Avenue, you're all over the place. But the thing is this, you get to choose, when you use the HUD money or state or city money, they give you this money to build, you get to choose the income bands. This is where area median income comes in. This is how you displace people. Because if you are, say, over here, in this part of our neighborhood, over here, the income levels will be less than on 5th Avenue, right? So we're at, say 40%, just pick a number, 40%. We decide that our low in affordable income band is going to be 60. So the constant complaint that we hear in housing is that it's great, it's affordable housing, but for who? The people who were living here 2 years ago were making 40%. They're out. This is what Alicia Boyd was saying. Everybody in Brooklyn hates 421A because it's just a way to displace people, and they complain about vacant apartments because we hear they're being warehoused. This is another resolution we're dealing with. They're all interconnected. So what happens is you rent at market rate at 80%. You use something called, say, in artificial intelligence or an algorithm or something else. Someone very bright to come up with an algorithm. You rent enough market rate apartments and you don't have to rent the affordable units, and you can wait it out. And then you create a crisis, and this is what people say, and then you have the city of yes. I know I'm moving along. So the point is, when you read these resolutions, I just want you to keep that in mind. Read the minutes, come to our meetings, it gets a little complicated and hairy, but that's it, yes.
We just, sorry, clarifying the first resolution, we say
Yeah.
beneficial AMI, we mean low.
Yeah, so this is something that people talk about, and I'll give it to Barbara and to Sarah, and I'll let Abraham talk about this, because this is his amendment, I think, his part. So people want to use local AMI, and our AMI is the 5 boroughs and Will, this is where I got it from Alicia, she used Long Island, that's why I added it. But it's Westchester, it's Dutchess, and it's Rockland County. That's our AMI. It gets kicked up. We should use the local AMI. We should use the census tract AMI. That makes it more just for the people who are being developed around. So that's why we passed this resolution. Russell made a point when I sent the minutes about the language is the most beneficial AMI. I'll kick it to Barbara first, then Sahar, and then unless you want to, but Barbara, I'll throw it to you.
Guys, don't leave, because we still have another item.
Yeah, we have another item, but I'll kick it to Barbara.
Okay, I do have a question.
Sure.
So one of my pet peeves, in case nobody's listened to me, is that buildings are vacated and they remain empty and they're either not raised at all or they are raised and left empty. And I think I hear that's because of 421. For instance, I'm all for affordable housing and I voted for the ones in 93rd Street land thing. But is it just gonna stay there because you can't build because of 421? So are you saying 421 is bad, but it's also something we want? I don't know whether we want it or not, you tell me.
People will argue over this. They do argue. The advocates
What's
say.
the resolution, let's just vote, what the resolution says, we're gonna have to vote on is whatever succeeds 421A, if it's 421A.
No, this is the affordable, this is AMI, Russell. This isn't 421A. This resolution is the AMI.
This question is about the second.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna answer her question about the 421A. The point is, people say that, Alicia Boyd says we have enough supply. She says we don't need to build. And the point is with 421A, developers wanted to develop.
To be able to vote on the resolution.
Well, I want to answer her question.
The answer to the question is what the resolution is about. We are not saying 421A is good or bad. What we're saying is.
Russell, if I could just answer the question, we'll get out of here faster. If you just let me answer the question, we'll get out of here faster, please. Okay, yeah, so the point is with the 421A, the argument is people say that you need the 421A to build. There are advocates who say you don't, that you have plenty of supply. Alicia Boyd says we have 350,000 empty apartments. We have 100,000 empty rent stabilized apartments that are being warehoused. The assembly member indicated that there is an issue with these warehoused apartments. There are many reasons why they are warehoused. That's in the second resolution. But for your point, 421A doesn't create empty one way or the other. It's just an incentive to build, and it was needed in the 70s when it was created. But some people say now we don't need it. That's the answer.
So then what are we gonna do with these empty buildings?
Well, that's the other thing that we're talking about in the second resolution, that the assembly member is bringing up about penalizing people for having the empty apartments. Yes, I think it was so hard, yes, sorry.
I just wanted to explain for the one about the AMI, in very simple words, since it picks up the city, and it picks up the other three, can you hear me now?
Yes.
It picks up the other three, can you name them, please?
Yeah, it was Rockland, Dutchess, and Westchester County.
Exactly, those have higher AMI, our city has lower AMIs. Since they use the AMI that's an average, so what happens is the rates go up. So the developers, when they say we want, like affordable housing, we're gonna provide that, give us subsidies, they're just going with a higher one, and that's why you see the market rate becomes really high. People in the area cannot afford it. So that's one thing for the higher prices, and the lower, and so we have the second resolution as well. But the affordable one, they get the subsidies, I'm sorry, I'm trying to wrap this up. The lower one, what happens is the subsidies are received by the developers, but they're not bound. They are supposed to make it, but they're not bound to rent it out, so they hold it. So what we are saying, what we asked in the second resolution was, that can we have the assembly members, since he was there, can he pass a resolution that within a year, if they don't, because of any reason, if they don't make it affordable to be used, then they're going to be penalized. So these are the two resolutions. One is to bring the AMI to the local, and the other is to penalize if they don't make it available.
Right, I think it's Elizabeth, then it's Marco.
You have two on.
Then Felice, and then, oh, I'm sorry, thank you, well, then two up on the thing.
Question about the first resolution and a comment on the second resolution. The first resolution, I don't know what you mean by use the most beneficial AMI.
That's why I leave that to Abraham, because he suggested that, that's what we were going back and forth on, so.
Lower.
We need the lower.
We're gonna clarify.
Meaning you want to use a lower income as the identifier for this area, which means that whatever is 60% AMI is going to be 60% of a lower number, so it's serving even lower income residents. Okay, I mean,
Yeah.
there's lots of people who also think we need to serve the higher income bands with AMI as well. All right, that was that. Thank you for the clarification that,
And then we'll go, I haven't forgotten the folks here, Rita, I see you with your hand up, and I think that's Judy and Mark.
These are two unanimous items.
friendly amendments, I guess, to the, second resolution.
Well, we're not even there yet, Elizabeth, can you hold on to that till we get to the first one? Marco?
The question is right here, very simple. CAD provide the money. If CAD provide the AMI, if you wanna do lower, there is no money from the CAD.
Right, well, that's okay.
So that's the first one.
If we're ready to vote on these, then we vote. If we need more discussion, we're gonna table it until next month, because we need to get out of it.
Okay.
Well,
So-
Russell, can I just go to Judy and then to Rita?
No.
Okay.
There's,
Call
call the question on both unanimous together.
No, I'm gonna go.
Okay, fine. So call the question on first. Is there a second on calling the question? Is anyone opposed to calling the question? Is anyone gonna vote no on the first one? Okay, call the roll.
Okay.
Anderson.
Yeah.
Angelos. Ashby.
Yes.
Birnbaum.
Abstain.
Yeah.
You know this is gonna be a problem.
No.
Can't help.
Torres.
Yes.
Can't help.
Camp. Chu. Collin.
Yes.
Coleman.
Yes.
Cormac. Dangor. Carver, yes. Freeland.
Yes.
Hartsock.
Yes.
Hershenson. Halpern.
Yeah.
Hussein. Yes. Johnson. Did Paul Crickler leave?
Yes.
Later,
Yes.
Mason,
Yes.
McClement. Meyerson,
Yes.
Marshall,
Abstain.
Pope Marshall,
Abstain.
Price,
Yes.
I'm sorry, Popper,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Rudder,
Yes.
Salcedo,
Yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Sasan,
Yes.
Seligson,
Yes.
Squire,
Yes.
Tamayo,
No.
Warren,
Yes.
Weiner.
Yes.
Okay. So,
Oh,
there was,
second one.
Yeah.
Okay,
So we'll go to the second one. We've already talked about that one. This is just quickly, the 421A one. This is one.
You're talking about the one we just passed?
No, I'm talking about the next
This
one.
is the
We
next
just
one.
discussed it. You went through it.
No, I didn't didn't go through it, Russell, because you kept interrupting me. If I could just finish without being interrupted, we'd be out of here. The point is on this one, if I can go, the point is on this one, if we can't on 421A, the point on this one is that the resolution that we have in front of us.
Stop. We're calling the question. We're gonna table it.
Well, how do we know we're voting, Russell?
You explained it and it's very clear in the minutes.
Yes, you explained it.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay. All right.
Call the question. Is anyone opposed to calling the question?
Okay.
Is anyone gonna vote no?
yes.
You're gonna vote no on.
Right.
Okay, let's go.
Anderson,
Yes.
Angelos, Ashby,
Yes.
Birnbaum,
Yes.
Torres,
Yes.
Camp,
Yes.
Chu,
Yeah.
Cohen,
Yes.
Coleman,
Yes.
Cormac,
Yes.
Dangor,
No.
Barber, yes. Freeland,
Yes.
Hartsock,
Yes.
Hershenson. Hershenson,
Yes.
Halpern,
Yes.
Hussein,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Paul left,
We're all
later. Craig,
No.
Mason,
Yes.
Actually, we have one more item after this.
Clements,
Yes.
Meyerson,
Yes.
Marshall. Jane. You left. Hope Marshall,
Yes.
Popper,
Yes.
Yes,
Elizabeth Rose.
y'all are being far too lenient, no.
Rudder,
Yes.
Salcedo.
Yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Hassan,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Seligson. Squire,
Yes.
Maya,
No.
Warren,
No.
Weiner.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, the motion passes.
Okay, we have one more item, which is we're gonna go into executive session, so everybody who's not a member of Community Board 8, please leave.
That includes you guys on Zoom. Please leave.
And once, those folks are gone, we're just gonna talk about the personnel